Hey there, RemPCs. Welcome to Rules of Cool, where we interview very special guests, creators, gamers, designers, and world builders. I'm your host, Alternis, and today we'll be chatting with absolute legends Matt Everhart and Luke Gygax. Their company Gygax has just launched a new Kickstarter for a Shadow Dark skin of Wrath of the Sea Lich, and we'll be talking all about it. We have a fantastic giveaway, don't forget, of Shadowrun's 6th World Core Rulebook, City Edition Berlin. Type hashtag RemPC in the chat for a free entry to win. The drawing will be done at the end of tonight's episode, which we are taking a break from Emerald Glitch to play you a game, a one-shot of the Wrath of the Sea Lich game. So stay tuned, watch that, and we'll do the drawing at the end. You can also get bonus entries to win by donating bits or subscribing. So every 100 bits gets you a bonus entry, and subscribing gets you 7 whole bonus entries. Now, in Alternis news, get ready to defend the universe on tabletop. Voltron, the RPG, and the board game is coming to Kickstarter on October 8th from Catalyst Game Labs. You'll be able to play in the setting you love from the 80s or the new Netflix version, and it will feature Catalyst's new dice core system. You won't want to miss your chance to form Voltron, so follow the link in chat to be notified on launch. Kevin J. Anderson, prolific sci-fi author, is launching his new Kickstarter for the next book in the Dan Shamble series, Horn Dogs. If you like comedy, puns, and some detective noir, follow the project now, which will launch on October 15th. Catalyst will be contributing a Dan Shamble board game to this project as well, so click on the link in chat. Jordan Weissman, creator of BattleTech and Shadowrun, is launching a Kickstarter for a new video game project. Sea of Legends is a pirate-themed CRPG coming to Steam. Play as a pirate, build alliances, complete quests to get stronger, and raid competing ships. Your decisions in-game will impact the results of your in-world interactions and allows for fresh and exciting replayability. Sea of Legends launches on October 8th. Follow the project now, and the link is in chat. From Luke Gygax, Matt Everhart, and Gygax, Wrath of the Sea Lich is a reimagining of their hit series Oculus of Senraba, originally created for 5e. Luke and Matt enlisted the help of notable designer Circe Victory to re-engineer this scenario for the critically acclaimed Shadow Dark system. Together, they have remastered the entire series, the encounters are rebalanced, and the entire work is reformatted to fit the old-school aesthetic of Shadow Dark. 5 times beyond their funding goal, you won't want to miss this hype and support and your opportunity to support a legend. Back now, the link is in chat. Now, it's time to get right into our conversation for this week, so stay tuned, RemPCs. Hey everyone, welcome back and welcome to you, Luke and Matt. Hi.
Hey.
You know, I started this stream 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I just couldn't imagine ever getting to the point where I have a Gygax here on chat with me. So gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going to fangirl a little bit.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to be on as well and to talk about this great project that Matt and I are working on.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear all about it. I do want to get in a little bit with some of our usual questions here. Now, I usually start off the stream with what is your history as a gamer? But I feel like, you know, the womb was the place where you might have started. So what is Matt, I want to know from you too, but Luke, what is your first memory of gaming?
Sure. So the first one that really sticks out in my mind is probably 1975 or 76. So I was little. I was born in 1970. So I was 4 or 5. I was born late in 1970. And I must have pestered my dad enough to be included in the D&D game. And so everybody had their characters, but I didn't have one. But I was going to play basically like a man at arms. Typically, back in old school D&D, you would hire a man at arms or men at arms, and maybe have guard dogs and things like that to go down into the dungeon with you in the delve to absorb some of the damage, right? So your main characters didn't die. So I was playing one of those.
You were a meat shield.
I was a meat shield, exactly. I was a red shirt. I was wearing a red shirt. But my dad pulled me aside and said, "You aren't just a man at arms. You're actually a ranger who works for the druid in the woods, and the people who are in this town of Hamlet, they're not sure whether these adventurers are good or actually servants of evil trying to reestablish the moat house as an extension of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And it's, you're to collect information on there and let the druid know if they're good or bad. If they're not what they say, if they're actually evildoers, then the druid would get together a force and they would go ahead and, neutralize the party, right? Of course, they were good. They were a goodly aligned party, and I reported that back. And after we completed that adventure, I was able to go into further adventures, and including, Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. Oh my gosh, Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl. I almost forgot what G2 was, and Giant King, and Descent into the Depths. So I did that whole Giant series and the Drow series, and worked Otis the Ranger, up to 10th level. And when T1, the Villager Helmet, was published, they made Elmo the character that played what the role I did, right? But he talks about his big brother Otis, which was my character. So if you're looking at old T1, the old school 12 pages or whatever it was, little tiny module, that's it.
That's so cool. One of the original canonized characters. That's so neat. How about you, Matt? How did you get into gaming?
Oh, my story is far less in depth, I suppose. But I was probably 9, I think. My uncle grabbed me the D&D Red Box for my birthday. And I don't think he knew what it was, but it was, I think, probably Walden Books or something like that, way back in the day at the mall. And he was trying to find something that he thought would interest me. And so he brought that to my birthday party. And I had watched the D&D cartoon, I think, up at that point, but I'd never played before. And so still, even after getting the Red Box, didn't have a group to play with or anything. So I of course did the starter adventure, and then poor Rip Alina, the cleric. Poor Alina tried to save her multiple times, but still couldn't get ahead of the magic missile. But yeah, so that's kind of where it started. And then my route, I actually did a lot of the Pick-a-Path books, the Choose Your Own Adventure books, because I again didn't have a group to play with, I think, until probably junior high. And then once the secret codes and secret handshakes were passed there in junior high, picking out who was playing D&D, because it was really taboo at that time, obviously. Once you figured that out, I actually had a gaming group that I still, even to this day, 30 years later almost, still play with on occasion, still game with on occasion. So that's awesome. That's my origin story, if you will.
So 9-year-old Matt got the Red Box from Walden Books. Did you ever think that one day you'd be designing games with the Gygax yourself?
No, not at all. In fact, I didn't even start designing.
Track?
No, it was not on the career track. I didn't start designing. My first game was a rule set for Pathfinder. My first publication, rather, was a rule set for Pathfinder in 2014, and then it quickly escalated from there. So no, not at all. In 2000 or 1984, whatever that was, did I imagine I'd be working alongside a Gygax.
So how did this all come together? How did you guys meet and start working together on stuff like this?
You want to take that one, Luke?
That's a good question. I have to remember what.
He doesn't remember.
Was there a lot of drinking?
I mean, there's so many of the little people out there, man. I can't remember. No, it's not at all. I believe we met through Gary. Yeah,
that's right.
And Matt was very kind, and I met him he made some really cool coasters for me. I remember there were these really nice wood cut coasters that he sent. That made an impression. I was like, wow, these are really cool. And he was thinking like this could be something that would be a nice high end gift for certain people. And I just got to talking to him, and he said, well, you know what? I really like virtual. I'm interested in virtual gaming and streaming and that sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's really not anything that I know much about or whatever. He's like, well, if I could, it's
actually, I think you said that sounds pretty stupid.
I
think that was.
I might have said something along those lines. That may be a quote. But Matt's like, well, I can put it together, etc. I was like, yeah, no problem. We got some extra space. Go ahead, have fun. That way there's folks who can't make it to GaryCon because there's some international people and just folks who, maybe, they don't have the finances to get to travel to Wisconsin. It's not the easiest place to get to. And that way we could have, some guys, I know there was, Luca from Italy who would come and he couldn't make it every year. So that might be a continuity for them. And so he ran it one year and we probably just had like 100 people or something like that signed up for it. Maybe. It was pretty small.
Maybe.
And then, but that was 2019.
Yep.
But fortunately, that was the backbone for when everything that collapsed during the pandemic, we were able to pivot. And I said, hey, Matt, how about thousands of people in hundreds of events? And Matt was like, yeah, of course I can do that. No stress, right? And so we he made it happen. I would say we, but I would be lying to you. I just showed up on, clicked, it was easy enough for me to click into. I was able to do it. But he and some other folks, captained that. And that was huge because, boy, not being able to do that would have probably bankrupted, GaryCon. It probably wouldn't be here today.
Oh, wow.
Without Matt having that capability and being there. So it's a big deal. And, through that, we formed a pretty good, friendship as well. He's also in the military. I was in the military at that time. I'm retired now. And so that was really, it was really good. He's like, hey, let's do something. I was like, well, let's do like a thieves adventure. There's not enough thieves adventure going on. Let's set it in my world setting. And so we started going back and forth, and we figured we'd do like a one shot, and then it ended up being fun. And so we ended up doing 3 parts of it, and it was the Eye-ish and Tufi, Heart-ish and Tufi, and Fate-ish and Tufi over the next, I guess that took us, 3.5 years, something like that to
yeah, about that. Yep.
And that was a ton of fun. And I got to meet, sorry, I'm going towards Wrath of the Sea Lich, but I got to meet Kelsey at GaryCon as well. And I know Shadow Dark blew up. And I was like, Kelsey, she's always at GaryCon. That's wow. And so I was chatting with her, and I looked at Shadow Dark and thought, well, this is cool. I totally get it. And the guy who taught her how to play D&D as a youngster is a guy I know who used to game with my dad. So I was like, oh,
cool.
I totally get it. So she's channeling a lot of, kind of that James Mishler energy, which was heavily influenced, directly influenced by my dad, right? So
Awesome. I
get where Shadow Dark comes from. And it's really neat. And it's simple, it's fast, it's the fun stuff. And I said, oh, I'm really comfortable with this. I think this would be fun to create, and so we thought, well, let's do it. And of course, I got to work with Kelsey at GaryCon. She helped me with the Founders and Legends tournament, where we put together the special game where you can play a single character through a single character in the same adventure scenario, and you go through all editions of D&D. Yeah, it was for the 50th year. It was amazing. Rave reviews. I don't know how we pulled it together, but I had Kelsey was one of the DMs and contributors and helped design and build it. But it was also Zeb Cook and Mike Merles and Keith Baker and
who are they?
And Andrew Perry. So that was it. But anyway, I've gone far from where we are.
So that's kind of how you guys met and started working together and designing. So how did Gaxworks come to be, and who is Gaxwork, and what is Gaxworks?
So Gaxworks, I started a little sideline company when I wanted to do some streaming activities that I thought were that were different than GaryCon. GaryCon was just doing physical convention. So I started a separate LLC to do it, and I ran some game days. Was some events in the summer around my dad's birthday. It was really cool. The first one I put together in 3 weeks, and I got Wizards. I went on their channel. They streamed it, and I used Critical Role Studios. So I just put it together, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, GaryCon's become a lot of work. I don't get to game much at GaryCon, so I want to get together with some friends and run some games. And then one of my friends said, yeah, you should just stream it. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. That can't be that hard, right? So I said, we'll just stream like 3 games. Oh my God, I had no idea what I was getting into. It's 16 hours of work. It was a huge, there was the set, there was the makeup people, there was all the crew members, there was all this stuff. And they were great. And the Critical Role guys gave me their studio. Wizards just showed up and brought, their community manager, they sent Mike Merles out there, and we just ran 12 hours where we did a 3-hour game, an introduction, a 3-hour game, a break where we talked history of D&D, another 3-hour game. It was, Stefan Picorni's room, and then Mike Merles DM'd the last game. And Joe was going to play, and it was all high level. It was like 20th level D&D. I was playing Mel. Joe was playing, I'm forgetting his character. It starts with an A. His Dragonborn Paladin. I'm having a senior moment here.
I can see it. I can see the picture. Yeah.
He has the hand of Vecna. He was on. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel awful for not knowing this. And there's probably people in chat going
shouting at the screen.
Somebody in chat help me out. I just doing it. Come on, man. We all know who this is.
Is it one of the weapons that's named after?
Is it AK?
It is something like that. Yeah. And I'm just, oh my gosh. If Joe would strangle me literally for not knowing this, and I can probably Google this. This is terrible. So I'm sorry, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Like doing a Google search.
Archon the Cruel.
Archon, that's
how could I forget Archon the Cruel? Anyway, he was playing Archon. I was playing Mel, and we had several people. But Joe was at that day. He was like, "Oh my God, I have a shoot that's running late. I'm not sure I can make it." And so we go on set, and it's like 5 minutes to the game. We're like, we're just gonna have to go without Joe. Whatever. Here we go. He busts in the door. He said, he's like, I'm on my way. I'm going 80 miles on the road. He busts in. And he's like, I don't need makeup. He jumps in there, and we play the game. And I had no idea what Twitch was or any of that sort of stuff. We had 10,000 viewers for that show, which is pretty good, right? So I've been spoiled. I was like, oh, 10,000? That's pretty good. Yeah, for a not an established person, just a one shot. So
yeah, and then post COVID, it's.
So that's how Gygax works. That's how Gygax Works started. I called it Bright Flame Productions at that point, and then later on, working with Matt, we were messing around with names and stuff. I was like, oh, Gygax Works. Oh, that's pretty cool. And so we put it together, and I actually ended up consolidating all my companies under Gygax Works. So Gygax Works now runs GaryCon and does all the publishing and even represents me when I make appearances. So yeah, interesting enough, I just did a TTRPG focused or themed game show.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so we shot a season of it. The producers hopefully will sell it. I hope so. It's Hollywood stuff. It may or may not happen. But it was, oh my gosh, I wish I could talk about it. So much fun. Excellent games. Excellent finale of everything. And of course, you know how that is. I can't talk about it. But when and if it is coming out and I know more about it and I'm able to speak about it, I'd love to come back and talk about it because it was an absolute ride.
Anytime, Luke. I feel like I just want, why don't you come on once a month for forever and just tell me about all your adventures, and I'll just sit here and listen open mouth to everything you say.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, man, it has been great. And
years in this industry are wild. Like it's all mainstream, it's all exciting, and I big credit to Felicia Day for, like, I feel like she was the starting point with the guild years ago before even the world was ready for it. And then Critical Role was like, okay, we're ready now. And then everything has just blasted off since then. And that's so cool.
Yeah, the guild, gosh, that was a while ago now. And I don't even know how many years ago it was, but it was.
I think it's over a decade now, isn't it? I mean, it's
oh yeah,
it's been a hot minute.
Yeah,
I think it's like 15 or more, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Let's transition over to your project. So Wrath of the Sea Lich, we can see the Okarim logo behind Matt here. So tell us about Okarim first, I think, and then how this all connects into the Wrath of the Sea Lich and into the Kickstarter that you've now created.
Sure. So it comes out of GaryCon. So so when my father was alive, I did a little bit of creative work with him, but he always wanted some of his kids to follow in his footsteps. And he passed away in 2008, which is how GaryCon became a memorial convention in his honor. So gosh, it was probably GaryCon 6. I decided, well, I should probably write a module for an AD&D tournament, right? That they used to do at Gen Con. So I wanted to write a module, and I was like, where to begin? I don't know. And I was back from Iraq for a few months, my last tour in Iraq, and I thought, well, it was prior to 5th edition, so it was 2012, I think, and it was for the GaryCon in 2013. I thought, well, what would challenge players? A sense of wonderment's important. Everybody knows what's coming at them if you just present monsters from the monster manual. It's not very thrilling. Most things, especially then, were Western European centric. So I said, wouldn't it be cool to have something that was a little bit more, in the Bosphorus or Middle Eastern flavored, something that was a little different, like, hey, you traveled to a new land and there's some weird things. There's people haggling, there's spices, there's camels, there's desert, there's environmental challenges. I thought that would be fun because wearing body armor and running around in 120-degree heat, it's not fun. And you can't really do that. Like, that's not sustainable. Like, you aren't going to be wearing plate mail and around in that kind of heat. So I guess I was just
Can confirm.
I was just bitter. Yeah. So I want other people to suffer, in the game. And so I made the world of Okrim, and I partnered with Jim Ward. I was like, man, it would be great to have somebody to lean on a little bit and work on this. And so Jim Ward created Gamma World. And I thought, well, geez, and this thought was in my mind: if technology is sufficiently progressed and you don't know how it works, it's magic to you. So I thought, hey, I'm going to grab that idea. What if there was this great, powerful, magical civilization that got destroyed in essentially a magical nuclear war and left the blighted lands and almost everything, the vestiges of that were mostly destroyed or buried in the rubble, a la, Planet of the Apes. And, but one city structurally survived. All the people were killed. It's like a neutron bomb. It killed all the people, but the structures were left. And so those artifacts were there. But new peoples fell in on it, and eons have passed. And people delve into the blighted lands and seek, these objects and come in and sell them. And people who know some of the secrets of the past, the Adrissid Empire that fell, would be power brokers. They would have an advantage over everyone else. And that was sort of the origins of the world of Okrim. If you reverse Okrim, the letters of Okrim, you might notice that it looks similar to Morocco, which is where my wife is from and who I leaned on for a lot of, she's Moroccan. So I just leaned on her for a lot of names and, hey, what is this in Moroccan Arabic? Okay, great. I can tweak that a little bit and make it into something. And the city of Shintufi is, her mother's maiden name was Shintufi. So that's named after my mother-in-law, who passed away a little over a year ago. So, but she was hilarious. I loved her. She was so fun. And so that's where some of that inspiration came from. And
so she's not the Sea Lich then?
She is not the Sea Lich. No. There may be other relatives who but not my mother-in-law was really great. She was She was super cool. So breaking the mold. Not all mother-in-laws are bad. She was awesome. She was super cool, very funny. What a great lady. And the world is worse off not having her. But yeah, that's the origins of Okrim, and that's kind of where it comes from. And I still get ideas from looking through Radiant Nights and plucking ideas from my wife's mind and that sort of thing as well. And then we got some great folks collaborating on fleshing out the world. I would love to do it all, but traveling and doing all this sort of stuff, it really it takes
not enough time in the day.
There isn't, and thank God for help. Whether it's running GaryCon, running Gygax Works, making modules and doing stuff, I couldn't do it without a lot of help.
So, the world of Okrim, you originally wrote for 5e, correct?
No, I wrote it for AD&D.
Oh, that's right, for AD&D. And then did I see, because you've done previous Kickstarters for Okrim, so was it?
Yeah. So in fact, I have these ones right here. I know that's not great, probably not great TV, but we had I think that's the Fadish and Tufi, that's the last one, and the middle one was Hardish and Tufi, and then the first one that Matt and I did was this one, which is the Eye and Tufi, which is the beginning of it. All those covers, I love those covers. That's from Michael Syrgos, a Greek artist. So talented and so reasonable. So I probably shouldn't even say anything, right? I'll get overloaded with
Don't steal him.
Mike Syrgos. Yeah, seriously, I'd love to see that guy get a ton of work because he is so good, very talented, and a nice person, and easy to work with. So he did all those covers, and they're beautiful and look great. And the layout, Matt worked those layouts for the most part, which I love. I don't have that skill, but they're beautiful. And but the art kind of still has a feel, a touch of pulpiness about it, right? Which I like. So it kind of harkens back, and he kind of kept that certain color schemes involved. There's not a whole lot of colors. It's all kind of themed in a around blue or the earth tones or the purples and blues. So that was kind of where his headspace was when he made those covers.
Cool. Okay, so you started then with AD&D, and then did I see that there was a Kickstarter for a 5e version?
There was, yeah. So Matt and I kickstarted. We did the IH2 before GaryCon, and then we thought, hey, wait a second, this is a great module. Why don't we make it available to the world? And instead of going through all the work of a distributor and doing all that sort of stuff, let's just kickstart it and see how it does. So we kickstarted the Hardish and Tufi, and included an option to get both of those modules, and it did pretty well, and people really enjoyed those. And I've run those modules dozens of times at conventions around the world, and everyone has a good time playing.
Yeah, in fact, if you look in those 5e versions, there's actually tournament rules in there, because when we had started it, the first one in particular, we were going to run it as a tournament game at the convention. We didn't have initially any intention of publishing it.
Wow!
But it was so popular that we decided to expand it and continue. Yeah.
And then you kind of explained how you made the decision to lean into Shadow Dark for it. So what can people expect from this Kickstarter, and whether they've seen the series before in a different printing or now, what are the selling points of your Shin Tufi and your Okrim world?
Do you want to talk that a little bit, Matt, or do you want me to take that?
Well, I'll give it a shot anyway. Okay. So I think you've mentioned AD&D and where the Okrim setting originally started, and I think that the dipping our toe really into 5e was sort of going the direction that the winds were blowing at the time, if you will. But as Luke kind of already alluded to, it really wasn't the feel that the setting was meant or was written or envisioned to be as it developed. And so going back into Shadow Dark, which has proven to be very popular, and as we talk about, and you'll see at the during our playthrough, it's so incredibly streamlined, and story driven that it's just it's really easy to play, really easy to get into, and get back to that old school AD&D original OSR type feel that this die roll better work, or I'm potentially just going to be out of the game. And in fact, no spoilers, but I had one such die roll in our playthrough that really sort of really changed the direction the game was going for us in our playthrough of this module. So I think
gotta adapt on the fly, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah, right. And I think ultimately getting back to that gritty feel where it feels a little more dangerous, dark, and ominous, I think was really the ultimate goal behind switching over to Shadow Dark. So that's, I think, for the most part, like a high level view, that's what you're going to experience with this adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, sorry. So in chat, Luke, the guy named David, I Am Droopy, said that he's playing ISN 2 for this weekend with his group.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah. I didn't see that.
So for the Kickstarter, they can get the adventures. Is it the 3 books like you showed, or the 3 different adventures?
So Shadow Dark is in an A5 size, so like a digest size, and this is a hardcover. This is the Shadow Dark rules. Our intent is to follow that example and print an A5, and I believe we passed the hardcover stretch goal.
We did. Yep.
We're gonna go hardcover A5, and I think and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the manuscript and 70,000, we're at least between 60 and 70,000 words, somewhere in that range. It's well over 150 of these pages.
Wow. Okay.
300 words.
Oh yeah. I don't want to pin a number on it just yet, but I think we're closing on 200. If I were being honest, just with the stats and all the conversion.
Yeah, I think 150 is a conservative. But it's not all finally laid out. There's still we're still looking at adding various materials and stuff. So we're a little nebulous, but yeah, it's a big adventure. It's mid-tier, lower mid-tier. So I think if you're a third, so there's 10 levels in Shadow Dark, just like in D&D originally, right? There was only 10 levels. So I think if you're a third level character with a group of 4 to 6, something like that, you would play this pretty. I think you would, it would be very challenging, right? But with good play,
yes.
And I imagine that you would be able to level up at least one time with skillful play, and of course it depends on your GM and all that sort of stuff. By the very end, you may even hit 5th level, right? So I'm not super duper experienced in Shadow Dark itself, so I don't want to guarantee it, but my kind of opinion from looking at the rules and from the materials is that you should certainly level once, quite possibly twice by the end. So that's a substantial adventure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's very different. It's if you played the D&D versions, D&D has a lot of skill checks, and you're gonna search for things, and you're gonna have to talk to somebody and convince them. In Shadow Dark, the focus of Shadow Dark is really the dungeon delve or the subterranean delve, that part of it, the adventure part. The interactions with NPCs outside of combat are more if the characters are seeking the information and they kind of ask the right questions, like, I'm going to ask about this. Then you will give it to them, and you could, however you do that as a DM, that's going to be your style, right? Like you say, he tells you this, or you're gonna have a back and forth with them where you give them the information in a role play, right? That's really personal style. But there isn't a rule system that works around making a die roll to get information.
Gotcha. Okay.
Honestly, I like that a little better personally.
It speeds it up.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do all the convincing.
And it's less frustrating when they keep all failing to roll.
Yeah, fair. Like,
they're
well,
both in the right spot. I want to give this to you.
And honestly, I think that's something that it fixes maybe a strong word, but the intent. I don't think the intent behind the skill check was ever to stymie or stop play, but it was like, oh, what do we do here mechanically? Oh, make them have a die roll, and then you run into those occasions where nobody makes the check, and you're like, just roll again. Roll again.
There's a meme for that where it's like, I know something you don't know, and you never will now because you can't make your roll.
Oh my God.
Right.
There's been so many times that happens, and of course, you end up being able to throw hints or whatever, but it gets a little obvious when you're like slapping the table and saying, this is, you notice this thing, and you're like, pounding the table as you say it or whatever, and, to get people to find it.
Well, I'm scrolling through on the Kickstarter, which, by the way, so your funding goal was 5,000, and you just passed 25,000, which is great. So as I'm scrolling through, like, you can get the PDFs, you can get the hardcovers now, and there's even some fun ones where you can play the game with Matt or with Luke, and there's even your Astral tier is sold out, which is exciting. So I also peeked on over to the add-ons. Can you talk about some of the extras that are being added on to the Kickstarter?
Sure, I have to go look at them.
Things like the
let me go pull that up quick.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to talk about these add-ons, Ren, as I scroll to them on the thing. Yes, I'm actually talking about them right now. Okay, yeah. So Arcana of Oprim is really like spells and magic items that exist in the world that we've developed in 5e, and we're going to convert them so you have kind of setting-specific magic items with Shadow Darkness. Now, can you convert that stuff on your own if you have the materials, the 5e? Of course. But isn't it just, it's much more convenient if you just
I like it when Luke Gygax does the work for me.
Yes, that's it. And we'll have cool black and white stuff. So it may be Matt Everhart or other. Fair disclosure.
I like when Luke tells someone else to do
it. I like it when it was Luke's idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that the best personally. No, but a lot of these were stuff that maybe I did as a 1e or a 5e, and then we will convert to Shadow Dark.
We have. I think at this point we have over 50 creatures that are probably unique. Well, not probably, that are unique to Akarim. We've got not as many spells, but there are certainly plenty of spells that we have to convert. So that's what we're getting after with those.
Well, there's a lot of spells that are associated with the gods. So the Pantheon and the orders and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of priest or cleric spells in there. And honestly, it's fairly easy to make some more. I have lots of ideas on the spells. Unfortunately, I keep a lot of stuff up here, and I do get it down onto the paper, which would be helpful. So the creature codex, easy 50 creatures that are in there, and we could do some more. And the gods of Okram, oh my gosh, we'll probably have to truncate that as it's, I don't know, is it 150 manuscript pages or something of information on the Pantheon?
We're rapidly, so originally, and one thing we haven't talked about is the development of the source book. That'll probably be, well, not probably, but it will be in 5e. And as we're putting all this stuff together and minds are melding, all this information is developing, there's certain aspects of it that are just going to have to be probably their own source material. Gods are one of them. The Pantheon is one of them, because there is a ton of material. Yeah,
we may have to just give you 40 pages of gods and not 150 pages. So, but it'll be good. It'll be good stuff. And then of course the dice. There's some great, beautiful dice that have the symbol for the Aishintuki on there, which is neat. Or Akilos Senraba. And then some STL files for some specific creatures that are in the world of Okrim. Shadow Dark DM screen, so that'll be a beautiful DM screen with art and Shadow Dark rules references on the interior. And then we have a Patreon at Gaxworks that's You can sign up for it. It's free to sign up. It's patreon.com/Gaxworks, GAXXWRX. And if you're at the $5 level, is the silver, whatever, it's like $5. We put out a monthly magazine, e-zine with like a short adventure, like a 2-hour adventure and other information on the world of Okram. So honestly, I think it is a great value.
A digital zine, or is it a
digital? Yeah, digital only. It's not in print. I think we'll make some print available and just have them at GaryCon if nothing else, just so, because some people want a tangible item, so there's nothing wrong with that. Anthology of Adventure, I think, is our, it's the first 8 adventures? Is that what that is? First 8 G20 adventures that are generally themed, so you can kind of play them at their lower level.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to start.
No, the anthology is your lost works. So that's the collection of everything up until now. Well, I'm sorry, everything before Eye of Shintufi.
Okay. So this is the stuff I did, the early stuff that I did for GaryCon. So I wrote several adventures in the world of Okram, like the Search for Darwa's Temple, Tower of Akbaba, Isle of Illumin, and those were a lot of fun. And then, if you really want this cool jersey, the Founders and Legends jersey for the 50th year of D&D, from G20 or G20, like me, and of course, you want to pretend that it's got Gygax on the back for 50th and the 50th anniversary. So really great. These are super cool. It's a thick baseball jersey. It's really nice. So we got that as an add-on.
That's awesome.
I sold them at GaryCon, and I had like 70 of them or something like that. They sold out in like minutes. It was gone.
Neat. Cool.
Yeah, I had no idea they'd be that popular. So
I love how you've come to this prepared. You've got the jersey, you've got the books on hand right next to you. Like you know what you're doing here. So I have a selfish question. Is there going to be any stretch goals or anything where if I didn't get any of the previous ones and I want the AD&D copy of the adventures and I want the 5e copy of the adventures and stuff like that, will there be add-ons added or unlocked?
You know what? Since you asked, sure, we can do it. They aren't. I mean, I'll be honest with you, they're not as beautiful as what the work that Matt did with the layout on these. I mean, these are gorgeous. These are pro quality, full color, beautiful layouts. So mine are more old school in their theme. So if you like an older school type thing, but yeah, there's no reason we can't do that.
Cool.
You can certainly make those as additional items.
Collect the whole set.
You can. You can get them all.
Awesome. Wow. So is there what's next for Gaxworks? What's next for Okram? What can we expect to see coming down the line?
Yeah, so absolutely. The next major muscle movement for in my mind, and I think this is going to be probably after GaryCon's second quarter of 2025, is a Kickstarter for the setting book. And we've got enough material now that I'd be shocked if we come in at under 256 pages. So it's probably a 256-page hardcover book that talks about basically the central coast around Shintufi, and then has touched upon the globe in general, but not a lot of details outside of a smaller focus area around the city of Shintufi. And it'll have information on some new races and classes and magic items and spells, and like talk about the gods and the orders and the associations and the underworld organizations and things like that. So there's tons and tons of stuff to talk about in a world that make it fun and interesting. And collaborating with Matt and Rob Howell and some of these other guys has just been so much fun, because I throw down a kernel of an idea and they exploded into so much more. That's really fun. It's great interplay.
That's awesome. That's a good team. Anything else you'd like to share about the Kickstarter or the works, or anything to promote on your end?
You know what? I feel like I've monopolized the conversation a little bit, so I'd like to pass it to Matt for an opportunity to chat on that a little bit first.
Well, with regards to the Kickstarter itself, where like you alluded to earlier, we're pleasantly surprised with how well it did, particularly on the first day.
Oh yeah.
Pardon me. We're looking forward to, and I guess a stress-filled month of waiting until the last 3 days of the Kickstarter, where I'm constantly hitting F5 to refresh the page. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, this is, I think, this is a pivotal point for the Gygax Publishing and where we're going with product design, because we don't expect that we're going to peel away at all from 5th edition. This is sort of another opportunity for us to develop concurrent products. And as Luke kind of talked about earlier, this is while the general storyline and the premise and the big bad guy at the end are the same, this is an entirely different story. It has changed dramatically from what the 5th edition version is, just because, again, not to beat the dead horse, but this Shadow Dark gave us the opportunity to really present this in the manner that we wanted to in that old school fashion to begin with. So we look forward to, I guess, having kind of the parallel occurrence, if you will, in the two different settings, so that we can have the 5th edition version and then the more dark and dangerous version in Shadow Dark.
Yeah, I would say that's absolutely correct, Matt. And thank you for making that point. I didn't fully flesh that out. When I thought of the world of Oakrim back in the early days, it was City Shintubi is a dangerous place. It was like Greyhawk or I'm just having a hard time today. The city of Merzine from Game of Thrones. Father and the Grey Mouser were in a certain
sanctuary.
Yeah. So it's dangerous. There's a lot. If you are not on your toes, there's cultists, there's criminals, there's people that will take advantage of you and perhaps even take your life. There's all sorts of seedy underworld activities. It is a dangerous place, right? It is not friendly and fuzzy. However, when you're working in larger audiences in 5e, it lends itself more to a little bit lighter style of gameplay. And right. So we adapted Oakrim to fit, kind of the essence of what's 5e, and that's great. I mean, I love it because you get to play it with a wide variety of people, and your gaming group really determines how you interpret, how you present the material, right? So yeah, Shadow Dark with the name Shadow Dark, right? It's a scary. It's not warm and fuzzy. There's not like bunny rabbits and rainbows and
plushie of owlbear.
You're right, yeah. not so much, right? It's scary, right? Oh my gosh, there's tension. If we don't make this die roll, we could be totally wiped out. It's important, right? We're huddling around the light because at the very edges of where our light source goes, there's terrible stuff that this light is just keeping away. It's just out of sight. The monster under the bed is ready to bite your toes when you get up from bed, right? We love that. That's part of storytelling. Oh my gosh, the tension is amazing. And so for people who like that aspect of the game, it's there. And the story changed very much so when we had to focus it on the delve, right? And it changed a lot of the dynamics. So when I'm playing 5e, some of my favorite parts to run are almost silly, frivolous interactions where I get to, role play the old librarian in the grand library of Shintubi, right? I love that guy. I harass the player. He's so irritating, and I just have such a great time with it. That would not exist in Shadow Dark, right? That's just not a facet of play. But oh my gosh, there's so many other things that pop out that will just, make your hair stand up on the back of your neck, right? So it's just a difference in play style. But awesome. If you played the 5th edition versions, I'm very proud of them. I think they're great adventures. But man, the Shadow Dark one is different, and you could run that with the same players who went through, and I think they would not know what's coming at them. I don't think you'd have an unfair advantage. You could play both and have great experiences with the same team.
Cool.
I was really surprised at how impactful or how stressful rather the torch mechanic was. I mean, just nothing else. Hey, Lankmar, somebody in chat.
Thank you, Lankmar. Yes, that was Thank you so much, Longmar. Yes, that's it. I was like, oh my god, I'm like, obviously I'm having a whatever. I need to have some more zinc in my diet or whatever it is. My synapses are not firing.
Sometimes you just have an off day, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, we're getting close to the top of the hour, so thank you for joining us, guys, and thank you for being here. Really appreciate anytime you guys have anything to promote, come on and hang out. But thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
No, my pleasure.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about stuff that we're doing, and very proud of it. And thanks for everybody who has backed us. If you're thinking about backing us, please continue to think about it, and hopefully you'll remind yourself prior to the 30 days or 28 more days that are going. And I do check every morning when I wake up and several times throughout the day, hitting refresh. So it'll help assuage my anxiety. If you've never run a Kickstarter, oh my gosh, it's like intrusive thoughts, man. It's like
it's an anxiety spike for sure.
It is, but honestly, I mean, how cool is it to have so many people wanting to partake in something that you created? It's really wonderful. So it's a great experience. I think I'm proud of it. I think you will enjoy it. I think your players will enjoy it and have a lot of fun. So check it out. Hopefully back us, and there'll be more to come for sure.
If you haven't,
and real quick, we got a playthrough coming out. There's a bunch of people saying, "Oh, I missed it. I'm at the end." There's a playthrough.
Oh yeah, we see you in chat. Don't go anywhere because you're going to just see an actual play featuring Matt and Luke. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. But go ahead in the meantime and click on that link to check out the Kickstarter while you wait. So we'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. And thank you so much to Matt and Luke for your time today. Don't go anywhere. As we said, we have a very special one-shot of Wrath of the Sea Lich coming up next instead of our normal Emerald Glitch here on Roll with Rem Alternis. So stay tuned, watch that, check it out. In the meantime, bring up the Kickstarter link, back that project, support Luke and Matt and Gygax, and keep them making these great products and adventures for us. Don't forget that you can still use hashtag RemPC in the chat for an entry to win a copy of the PDF of the Shadowrun Core Rulebook, 6th World Edition, Berlin. So hashtag RemPC in the chat, but stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Bye, guys.
Can I just ask, what does a summoning tea kettle look like?
Oh, a summoning tea kettle. It is made out of cast iron that has been painted ritually with symbols in blood, obviously, that are then coated
Obviously.
and shellacked over so that they don't flake off, that way it can last for centuries. And we use a nice clear coat though, so you can see them quite nice, quite clear. We mix in with the blood, we mix in the iridescent paint, so it gives us a nice little beautiful shimmer, especially as it heats up. And as you heat it up, that's where the magic happens, because that is when all of the symbols start to glow and get bright and beautiful. And as the tea kettle whistles, that is the summoning ritual complete.
If you have an interest in using the summoning tea kettle, or taking part in any of the other worlds in our games, you don't have to have experience. Just join our Discord, and the GMs will work with you and help you find a game you enjoy. The link is in the chat.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?
Welcome to the world of Okrim. We're about to play a little sample of the Wrath of the Sea Lich, which is our very first foray into Shadowdark. This adventure is a reimagining and remastering of a series that Matt and I crafted over the past few years for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, but it is substantially different in Shadowdark, which is a rules-light, action-packed, and fast-paced version of D&D that, I shouldn't say it's its own game, but it draws on the history of Dungeons and Dragons, and it leans a little bit more towards the older versions of Dungeons and Dragons, which highlighted the skill needed for subterranean delves, to be wary, to pay attention to your surroundings, and to always, always be afraid of the dark, because there are many strange creatures that are waiting and lurking for you in the shadows. And you, as a foolish, probably, adventurer delving into these subterranean depths, are risking your life. And the one thing that helps keep evil at bay is the light. Creatures of evil and darkness do not like the light, and that is central to Shadowdark. The tension is high. The action, as I said, is fast-paced. So I'm looking forward to playing this adventure in Shadowdark with my friends here. We have Matt Everhart, who is my co-author for the Shintufi series. Sursa Victory himself, who is the one we went to. Well, actually, Kelsey Dion, who wrote Shadowdark, said, if you want somebody who really knows Shadowdark and can help take this adventure and craft it in the essence of Shadowdark and really make it hum, this is the person that you want to do it. And so we feel very honored to have Sursa working alongside us. Then we have Aurelia King, who is part of the, we met her through marketing, and she's a longtime D&D player. And then the young lady with the hat on there is my daughter Miriam, who I coerced into playing Shadowdark with us this evening. She's actually played with Kelsey herself. So, and she's got her Gary Con hat on, so she's part of the marketing team too as well, apparently.
Every day.
Yeah, for sure. So we're in the world of Okrim, which is my fantasy setting. Imagine if there was a high fantasy world and Gamma world smushed together. There was once a powerful, advanced civilization, the Adrisid Empire, that ruled all of Okrim, and it was a lush and verdant land. Something happened. The Great Wrath occurred, and the land was decimated, and the civilization destroyed, all save one place, the city of Shintufi, which is where we'll be having our adventure tonight. The city of Shintufi, the structures, the amazing structures of the Adrisid, some of their fabulous magical feats, buildings, and capabilities still exist, although the people themselves are long gone. It was eons ago that their civilization collapsed. But the vestiges of the Adrisid are still there, and many seek the power that they once wielded. They wish to regain that so that they can use it for their own intents, whether that be to gain power, riches, or crush everyone underneath their heel. It depends on whether you are maybe law, chaos, or neutrality, as we have in Shadowdark. But that is our setting. It is the city of Shintufi is a large and cosmopolitan place with over 1 million souls living there above and below ground. All types of species are there, and it is a dangerous place to exist because there's many charlatans, cultists, and of course, thieves ready to separate you from your gold. But with that introduction, I will turn it over to our game master tonight, Sursa Victory.
Wow. Well, thank you for that incredible introduction, Luke. I like that you mentioned that there's 1 million souls here, because it's a perfect place for a demi-lich like myself to set up shop. So what I will be doing is taking everyone here through just a small slice, a little bit of a preview of some of the really exciting adventure locations and scenes that we prepared for you for this Shadow Dark conversion. And I also want to say that, you know, I am grateful to have had the opportunity to participate in this project. It's been tremendous fun. I'm a great lover of Shadow Dark, and my hope is that you find that the project does the system justice after that great introduction from Luke. No pressure, right?
None at all.
None at all. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into our first scene, unless anybody else has anything they want to say before we get cooking.
Do we want to introduce who we're playing before we jump into the scene?
We will do that as part of the intro scene.
Okay.
So it's a very fun little thing we have going here. But yeah, so why don't we just get right into it? So you thought you had it. You had measured out the sand in this leather pouch and dropped it ever so gingerly on the plinth, trading it for the golden megapede statuette. This heavy, grotesque casting of a monstrous creature. And you breathed out the breath that you'd been holding in your lungs for what feels like as long as the city of Shantufia stood. And you thought you were done. All of the hieroglyph smeared corridors that you stalked through, all of the rusted bladed traps that you tumbled past, the strange puzzles, the undead guardians, you thought that they were all behind you, standing here in the glow of this golden megapede statuette. And that is when the shaking began. And that is when the rumbling pressed against your ears. Around you and between you, curtains of sand fell from the ceiling. Blocks of stone broke free from the walls. Pillars around you buckled, shattering the hieroglyphs. The grainy taste of salt scratching at your throat, and the odor of stale sandstone gave way to this stench of death and decay that washed over you like a wave. And it is then that this temple falls away around you, revealing this massive subterranean cave. And thundering out of the darkness on 100 monstrous legs that thunder like the trunks of petrified trees is a megapede. And I need each and every one of you to roll the game's first initiative roll. So that'll be a d20 plus your dexterity modifier.
Salt water.
4.
Oh no!
Oh no, I got a nat 1. That is
My,
Why
awesome.
is this-
my dexterity modifiers are -2. Oh, but I rolled very high because I'm scared. This looks terrifying. I have a 17.
Oh, 8.
This will be fine.
8.
That's a 3 for me.
This is a great way to start.
So the scene here is that you had been delving this sort of mummy's tomb in search of this artifact, the golden megapede statuette, and in taking it, you had triggered the tomb's final trap. And now you are fleeing as quickly as you have ever fled up these subterranean tunnels, through these swallowed ruins in darkness, to escape the megapede back to the surface. So this will be a sort of role-playing skill challenge type thing where we'll introduce our characters, do a little bit of improvisational storytelling, but also see if you can make it out unscathed from the megapede. So I think top of the order is going to be Luke's character. Is that correct? You had the highest roll?
Yes, I had a 17 was my adjustment, yeah.
Perfect. So here are a few questions I would like for you to answer for me. So first, what is your character's name?
My name is Leanthorn Elris.
All right. And what ancestry and class and background do you have? Give us an insight into who your character is.
Yes. Leanthorn is an elf, and he's a wizard. So he's a master of arcane magics. He's tends towards chaos, so he's a channeler is his title. Prior to deciding to go an adventure and seek a bit more, well, some riches is really what it was. He didn't like his lifestyle as a bookbinder. It was very dull. People tended to look down upon him and make fun of him because Leanne Thorne is not really a very physical specimen. He has a 4 strength, so he has some serious negatives. That's near the minimum strength possible for a human being. So he is frail, twig-like in his appearance. His dexterity is a 6, so he tends to be a little clumsy. So, books don't move around a lot. He was able to, glue that and place them together, but but he's able to form his fingers enough into the arcane symbols and things of that nature. So he does well enough there, but not very agile or athletic, and probably needs a lot of assistance to get around. And his constitution, he's a little frail too. He gets winded a little bit more quickly than most, but he has a very sharp mind. It is difficult to get things past him. So he feels that his superior intellect can overcome the frailty of his form. And so he has decided to challenge himself and to prove himself better than those who detracted from him due to his mere physical limitations.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So here's my first question for you in this scene. How does Leanne Thorne behave in the face of certain doom? As the megapede is thundering down on him, this titanic, monstrous vermin, what is he doing?
He lets out a shriek that is piercing and probably hurts the eardrums of those around him in pure terror, as he's never seen anything this horrible in his entire life. And he thinks, what can I do? He knows he can't run quite fast enough. So he is going to throw web into the tunnel and hope to slow this thing down.
So that gets to my second question here as part of this challenge is, what is an obstacle? So you're gonna have an opportunity here to sort of participate in the narration and storytelling. What is an obstacle that the party is encountering as you are fleeing these subterranean desert temples and tunnels? What is an obstacle that you specifically are well suited to overcome, and how are you overcoming it? So you can bring web into it, or we can change the answer. Don't be afraid to invent some detail about these subterranean tunnels and temples.
Well, absolutely. I just think that there's a narrow point in this tunnel that I could fill up with some webs, and although it's a big creature, I'm hoping that will slow it down enough for me to be able to go and rely on one of these more agile and strong party members to throw a grappling hook up so that we could perhaps climb up, or they could maybe pull me up because I don't think I can lift my own body weight to get out of there. But I know I have to slow this thing down, because trying to face something like this head on would be disastrous.
I love it. So the elvish wizard motions for the party to make their way into a small bottleneck through an archway etched with hieroglyphs, flanked on either side by time-worn statues still wearing their striped headdresses. So what I need you to do for me is roll a spellcasting check. So first tell us what your spellcasting bonus is.
It is a +6.
Sure, and what is the DC to cast the spell web?
In 11, it's a tier 1 spell, so it's 10
Sure
plus
thing.
my tier. All right. Oh my gosh, my dice are on fire. I rolled another 19, so that'd be a 25.
Yeah, so in this
Nice.
introductory challenge, you now have as a party 1 success and no failures. So I'm going to mark a little success here on my sheet. So you corral the party through this bottleneck, and despite your frailty, despite the fact that your ribs are basically showing as you're heaving the dust out of your chest, you manage to throw a well-placed web that stretches between these two weather-worn statues, slowing the megapede just enough to earn you a success in this challenge. The megapede gets tangled up slightly, and there is this sound almost as if a giant egg were hatching or cracking. And at first you think, oh, we hurt the megapede. We've got it tangled in the web, but in fact, that is not what happens. The abdomen or the thorax or whatever, I should probably have looked up what centipedes have. The megapede breaks open, and pouring out are the ghouls of all of the humanoid creatures it has digested over the past century, and they begin piercing through your web and pulling it apart. And now you are being pursued by both the megapede and an overwhelming horde of partially digested ghouls. Who's next in the initiative here?
Cool.
Shadow Dark.
Well, I know per the rules it goes clockwise direction. So do we just want to go like down the line here? And
Yeah,
so Matt,
so I'll go.
okay. I don't know. However you want.
Yeah,
We'll go off of
it
what
probably
your
looks
display.
different.
Whatever
Yeah.
your clockwise is, yeah.
Yeah, you're the DM.
Yeah, little Gary Rafferty right down the line. So I'm gonna go with Miriam. So tell us what your character is named and what your ancestry and class is.
I decided to be David Karim, human fighter. I'm just like classic adventurer. I've got a 18 strength, so I'm super beefed up.
I like it. So how does your character react in the face of certain doom? So we had the wizard let out this high-pitched shriek and just booked it to the smallest bottleneck that he could find. How does your character react in a doomed situation like this one?
I mean, are we trapped in this bottleneck? Can we?
So you
What
are
if he
just
doesn't-
still running. So imagine it has like slowed down just enough. It's caught in the web, it's breaking through, but there's just seems to be an infinite more length of ruins and tunnel. So how are you reacting in this situation? What is your character's personality like? Are they frightened? Are they stoic? What's their
I think-
move?
Relatively level-headed, still kind of
Mhm.
freaked out, but he's used to this. I think I'm
Would
just
you consider
gonna-
yourself the voice of a voice of chill in the party?
Yes,
Yeah.
certainly. Let's see. Do you think iron spikes will stop them at all? These ghouls.
So they could. What you might also do, and again, this is an opportunity to participate in the description and the storytelling. You can invent an obstacle, something that you come across as you are fleeing to the surface, that you in particular would be good at overcoming. So it could be you can describe an archway with a boulder or a cave-in that you alone are strong enough to peel away, or maybe there's some bones that you need to climb.
David,
and you can
David, knock over one of those statues. Block the whole tunnel quickly.
Okay, I'll come up from the rear of the party as we're all running away, and just, I guess, take the butt of my longsword and just ram it into the bottom of a statue. Say, like, at the feet of a giant, I don't know, statue of a giant lady, and then it'll come crashing down and cover what's behind us.
I love it. And you can feel the rattling of the impact of your blade resonate up to your teeth as you're striking, hewing these chunks off the statue. So what I need you to do for me is grab a d20 and you're going to roll plus your strength modifier. So what is your strength modifier?
+4. I have advantage on
Perfect.
strength checks.
Awesome. So go ahead. So
Even
advantage in Shadow Dark means you get to take 2d20, roll them both, and then take the higher of the two. And you're looking for a 12 or better total to succeed.
All right.
I don't like that look.
Oh, okay. Second one is a nat 20.
Oh, there you go.
Ah!
So that is a second success in this role-playing challenge. So yeah, you just absolutely find the perfect spot. The statue comes crashing down, kicking up sand and bone dust, and you can just feel as if someone had come up to you and just blown the breath of the dead into your mouth. There's the impact of the statue crashing down, crushing an entire legion of these ghouls at once. The megapede hisses and shrieks and spits this violet hissing blood, and you don't linger. The statue is knocked down, and you are now booking it with the rest of the party. Next
Absolutely.
up is going to be Aurelia's character. So tell us who you are playing.
I am playing Vera Rookstone, a human thief, and she has been a jeweler, has been fired many times from being a jeweler for having a little bit too sticky of the fingers, and a little quirky thing about Vera is that her favorite food, and her little pack in her backpack snack, are sardines. And so she kind of smells horrid. Just a horrid, just a horrid scent. I've got a charisma of 4, and I've decided it's because she smells.
So here's an important question I'm going to add for your character for Vera. Does the odor of 100 ghouls mask the sardines, or are the sardines just that strong?
Oh, I think they're equally matched, and I think that Vera has the audacity to be like, these ghouls smell, because she is absolutely nose blind to the sardine smell.
You're going to be back at the inn tonight, and they're going to smell the sardines and be like, the ghouls are back. So tell us a little bit about how Vera behaves in the face of certain death. This megapede, this horde of ghouls is thundering down on you. How does Vera behave? Give us an insight into her characterization here.
Yeah, I think Vera is determined to get out alive, no matter the situation. And her companions are very valuable to her alive, and is going to do her best then to make sure they all get out. And is keeping an eye on who's holding the loot and what else there is to grab on the way out as well.
Yeah, so you've got one eye on the megapede and one eye on the megapede statuette that glitters gold through the darkness and the dust. So describe for us, and again, you can invent a detail, an obstacle that the party comes across as you are escaping this desert-themed necropolis under the surface that you in particular are good at helping them overcome.
Yeah, I think as they're dashing to leave, I think she notices a trap that was not disabled before, because it wasn't that big of a deal. They could just get past it. But at the speed they're like going to be going, and just with everything happening, it's going to be in their best interest for her to disarm it before everybody else gets there.
I love it.
Especially
so go
the
ahead
wizard
and
doesn't trip it.
Yeah. I'm running as fast as I can, and I'm still like 50 yards behind you. So I've stopped like 3 times, grabbed my knees.
And the screaming hasn't stopped the whole time.
No, this is the entire time.
So go ahead and grab a d20. And what is your dexterity modifier?
It is +2, and I have advantage on disabling traps.
There you go. So roll 2d20. You're going to take the higher of the result. You want a 12 or better total.
All right, I got a 16 on the first die and a 17 on the second die, giving it
a
look at you. Total. Whew.
So even
dice rolls.
with
I rolled
even with the thunder,
so I feel good about this.
Yeah, even with the thundering of the megapede just rattling every surface and just causing dust to cascade down, you are still able to make those minute hand movements to disable the trap just in time. You feel like the air being sucked out of a corridor as a stone block that would have crushed you all to a paste falls free, and you were able to push it out of the way and keep running. So finally, you have 3 successes, you have 0 failures, so this is looking pretty good so far. I want to come back to Matt.
All right.
Yeah, Matt.
So Matt,
all right, here's
who
our
is
first
your
failure, but
character?
that's okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, no pressure. All right, I am playing Hefrael the Sagacious. I am a scholar and priest of the god Azim, the Lord of the Sea, and this is the worst predicament that I've ever been in because there's not a lick of salt water in the air, nor any sign of moisture on my tongue.
I am fairly well-rounded, actually, for stats, but I am wise beyond my years and far more charismatic than our thief. I am... I am currently very incredulous. I cannot believe with the intelligence of our wizard, the craftiness of our thief, the strength of our warrior, and my great wisdom that we have found ourselves in this predicament. However, I do believe that I have the blessing of Azim on my side, and assuming that there are still some of the undead. Were they all crushed? Or are they coming over? Okay. All right, I will counter the dust and dryness of this decrepit tomb and bring Azim's strength and power and hopefully some seawater into this cavern by cast Turn Undead.
All right, so go ahead and you're going to take a d20. You're going to add your spell casting check to that.
Okay, my DC is 11. Spellcasting is 5. And I rolled a 12, so that's a 17.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Nice.
So you raise the holy symbol. You speak despite the parchment dryness of your tongue, the prayer, the incantation, and there is a blinding shock of light and this odor as if you were standing on the beach. And you drive back the ghouls and the megapede just long enough for you to breach this final tunnel that winds up at such a steep grade. You are now climbing and crawling. And we have Vera, the thief, the survivor.
Or sand.
Just pouring her way up, scrambling up. And with the strength of David, our fighter, punches through what looks like the cover stone of a sarcophagus from the inside, and that is when blinding sunlight pours in, and you breathe in the fresh air of the outside, and all of you pop your head up, and you look out from these high dunes on the outskirts of the ancient and mysterious city of Shantufi. And imagine it, if you would, sort of like a camera panning up from all of your panting, dust-covered faces, still holding, because you had a perfect run of 4 successes, you have escaped with the megapede statuette. It glints in the sunlight, and then imagine us just panning upward, and this cloudless, pearl-colored sky gives way to twilight. And in a very theme-appropriate script, little subtitle, 3 nights later. And that is the end of the first scene that we would like to share with you tonight from the... And this is how the adventure begins. This is how this amazing new Shadow Dark adventure, Wrath of the Sea Lich, begins.
Love that.
And if we meet our stretch goal, that adventure will be expanded.
That's right. That's true. You may get more than just a teaser, depending on how well we do. So it's up to you if you want to explore the entirety of that necropolis, or just have the little teaser taste.
Yeah. So call this number to get the full version. This is the shareware version. So you get the full four floppy disks. So before we move on to the next scene, who will be carrying the megapede statuette? It takes up 1 slot, but choose carefully, because in a game like Shadow Dark...
Wait, being the brains of this operation, perhaps it would be better if either our priest or our fighter carried it.
That's wild, because I already have it.
I love that I was about to go into this whole like Surgeon General's warning about carrying artifacts in the game, and you're like, don't want to hear any of that. I'm carrying.
It's me. That's totally what she'd be like. I got it.
I'm not gonna step within range close enough to get back. I'm good.
Yeah, I would, but I'm far too weak. I think that this would probably...
I was gonna say it might weigh as much as you do.
I think if someone tells her it might be cursed, she'd be willing to let someone else hold it for sure.
How does I mean, just out of curiosity, not for tonight necessarily, but how does strength, does it knock off blocks in your 20
so
gear there?
if you have a higher strength, because you have the character sheets with 20 slots on it. Yeah, so your characters have 10 plus your strength mod with a minimum of 10,
that's
I
good
believe. But I should probably look at that. But so, yeah, basically it's based on strength. So you all should have at least one slot open to carry.
Nope, not me. I'm maxed out.
No. Hold on, I may have one more thing than I should have.
I have 2 slots available.
I have 11 slots available.
Nice.
Good.
I can take
she
it.
doesn't-
I also have like a 16 constitution, so whatever curse I can handle.
Okay.
And I believe
So as
the
long-
fighter also gets to add her con 2. I should probably have looked beforehand. But yeah, there is a class or a situation where like you can add your con as well to the number of
Oh,
slots
wow.
that you get. But
No
yeah,
kidding,
let me
pack
just,
mule in that
double check
case.
that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I gotta figure out which of these things in my gear I'm no longer gonna carry.
Yeah, the fighter gets her con mod is positive to your gear slots.
Wow.
Loudest
Yeah,
chair in the
that's
world.
okay.
So we've
I
decided
have no
that's the final
problem
answer
carrying
here.
it. I'm sure the god Azim will protect me from any curses that it might have.
In Shadow Dark, that's a big if.
Interestingly enough, I don't believe that being affiliated with as a priest of Azim actually carries any special protections against such curses. Oh, I see. Yes, that's your faith. Okay, yes, absolutely. Sorry about that, half rail.
All right, so what's the final answer here? Who will be carrying this with them?
It looks much too heavy for me.
I can take it.
I
I'll
don't
take
have
it.
room.
All right. So
Golden
David,
millipede.
human fighter.
Wait, sorry. Are all the things that we have in our gear, are those all the things in our backpack and the backpack takes 1 slot? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, for sure.
Trying to loot hack the game. I've got 6 backpacks and they're all full.
I'm just gonna put it all in my backpack, I think.
All right, so 3 nights have passed since your encounter with the Megapede and the ghouls, despite coming just a dagger's width away from absolute disaster. You have worked together as a team to escape from that necropolis with the golden Megapede statuette that you sought in tow. And because of your success, each of you will gain a luck token. So go ahead and mark on your sheet that you have 1 luck token. And in Shadow Dark, you can spend a luck token to re-roll a check or an attack or a spellcasting roll that you just made that you don't like. So it's similar-ish to inspiration. So you can only, in most cases, only ever have 1 luck token. There may be opportunities in the dungeon to earn additional luck tokens, but typically you can only have 1.
Got it. Does that take
So
up
keep
an
those
inventory
kind
slot?
of. They do not know. The luck token is a an abstract little bonus there, but yeah, be very mindful because you really only get 1, and so you want to make sure you spend it on your clutch rolls.
Got it.
So 3 nights have passed, and I want you to imagine for me, after we panned up into the twilight, we panned down into an even darker twilight. And picture for me, if you could, minaret towers silhouetted against a darkening violet sky that is dotted with unfamiliar stars. Surrounding you are ruins, colossal and silent. And they seem in the twilight as if they were the moon-bleached bones of some haunted wonders that have long since been forgotten by the people of the city. And beyond the ruins, beyond the silence that's broken only by your heavy breathing and the stone being shoveled aside from the ground, there is the distant cheer of a body crowd in this city. There is the clang of steel on steel in the fighting pits. There is the brush of a velvet curtain shut to sultry brazier light. And if you listen very carefully, you may even hear the scuff of an assassin's slipper in the night. But the four of you are digging by torchlight in the darkness in these haunted ruins, and you have finally uncovered a trap door hidden for who knows how many generations in the midst of these ruins. And it is here that the Oculus is said to be hidden. So I'm going to throw back to Luke or Matt here. Give us an insight, a little bit of lore about what this Oculus is.
Well, interestingly enough, the Oculus of Senra Ba is a powerful artifact that was created by a mage, an archmage called the Zenik of the Idrisid mages, and it has power over the element of water, and it was used to divine things. It was used to cast powerful water spells, and it was lost during the great cataclysm, the wrath that happened when the civilization, two factions pitted themselves against one another and ended up destroying the world as they knew it and ending their own civilization. Of course, these powerful magic items are treasured and wanted and sought by people. This one has lain, I don't know, undisturbed and lost for many, many centuries somewhere in the city of Shintufi. And of course, in the Wrath of the Sea Lich, the group will be recruited to go on a quest, which may seemingly be relatively straightforward, but there'll be many twists and turns that will be introduced. And we are entering into some of the initial phases here of seeking the Oculus of Senra Ba, sometimes referred to as the Eye of Shintufi, a fist-sized gemstone shaped like an oculus or an eye that has, like I said, these powers. And here we are.
Thank you for that. That was an amazing summary. So you throw open the trapdoor, and this heavy, worn, smooth sandstone crashes against the sand, kicking up this dark cloud in the last...
You checked for traps first, right, Vera?
Of course.
You
always
did,
checks
of
for-
course, yes.
I'm insulted that you would even ask.
And you can see that there is a crooked flight of crumbling sandstone steps descending down into darkness, into what we call the Shadow Dark. Now, what I need to know, one, who will be holding the torch?
I will hold
I'm
a
holding
torch.
the millipede, so
Yeah, I'll hold a torch.
All right. So the way that torches work, and one of the elements of Shadow Dark that I personally enjoy the most, is that torches burn in real time. So when you light a torch, it burns for 1 hour of real time. For the purposes of tonight's game, because it's so condensed, I won't necessarily be keeping track of that time. But there may be, and by may I mean will, there will be situations where your torchlight will be snuffed and destroyed. And you'll be plunged into darkness, and you're going to have to make your way back to safety, spark up a new light, and regroup. So keep that in mind. But for tonight, normally I would have a timer, maybe on my phone or something like that to keep track of it, but for tonight we won't. But I'm going to mark down here
I like
that Leanne Thorne, the elf wizard, is carrying the light.
I might
What I
recommend.
also
I might recommend that one other person light a torch, just so in case somebody knocks my torch out of my hand, we're not plunged into darkness.
I can light
Yeah.
a torch.
Or you have to make a strength check.
Oh yeah. I dropped my torch.
You sneeze too hard and it just drops to your feet.
It could.
I need
Vera,
2
what
hands for my
weapons-
longsword, I think. So
Yeah.
Fair
Vera,
enough.
what weapons do you use?
Well, that's a good question. I have a dagger and a crossbow. I think crossbow is two-handed, right?
Crossbow's
Yeah, I was gonna say,
two-handed.
why,
Yeah,
why
okay.
don't I carry the other torch? Because I have a mace if I need to go swinging, or
Yeah.
I'm
Perfect.
assuming I can cast spells with one hand.
Yeah. I have a staff, although I don't know why. I have nibs to use it, so I don't know why I would ever.
Stick, obviously.
Yeah, it's more of a cane. I lean against
Yeah.
it when I get tired. That's what that is.
It's a prescription staff.
It is a yeah.
I got it covered by part B. So with the torches lit, I of course now need to ask, what is the marching order? So what is the order in which you will be making your way down into this catacomb beneath the ruins? Now the corridor, the stairs that lead down into darkness, is only wide enough for one person to walk down single file. So who will be the first to make their way into the darkness?
Well,
I've got like 20 hit points, so I can go first.
Wow.
Well,
I'm
I
also
would say
melee.
there's
Alternatively,
two-
I could
there's-
go first and try to find any traps along the way. That way, you don't have to go face first into all of those.
There's two schools of thought that we could, depending on how we wish to approach this, we could use the more wary and cautious technique by sending Vera in front to search for traps, or we could be more bold and have David lead the charge down. Either way, I think that I should be third in the order of march, and I would think that the priest, ready with the curing magics right behind me, would be most efficacious.
So it's either
Yeah,
Vera or David in front, and then Vera or David second, and then we're just picking up the rear. Yeah, okay.
I'll go first. I'll go
Okay.
first.
I'll be
Okay.
right behind
That's
you.
Yes,
a
we'll be
great
bold.
idea.
Yes.
If I'm in front, I can't smell it as much.
You would think so,
yes.
but I never really stopped talking at you.
I'm right behind you too.
It's in my clothes.
You chose third, old man.
Fortunately,
with light-
fortunately, I have a poultice that I can carry near my nose when I'm following Vera.
Amazing. So, with the marching order determined, with a torch near the front and a torch near the back, party descends into this mythic underworld that we call the Shadow Dark. Now, the way that it works is that we are going to be always in what are called crawling rounds. So we're always in a form of initiative, almost like we're playing a board game. And for those of you familiar with older editions of role-playing games, time and turn management is very important. And so I have here just little boxes that I've made. Every time everyone finishes their turn, I'm going to mark off a round. And after a certain number of rounds, I will make a random encounter check on a d6. Depending on what I roll, a random encounter may be indicated. So while we're not necessarily using the real-time pressure of torches due to the short length of tonight's game, I will be tracking crawling rounds. So think carefully about what you're going to do on your turn and the limited action economy that you have, because the longer that you linger, Dungeoneers, the greater risk of random encounters. So I'm going to start off with David, the human fighter. You are the first to reach the bottom of the steps in these catacombs beneath the ruins. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a sketch of the map. So for those who are watching, this is not the final map that will appear in the module. This was sort of my draft, just to give us a little bit of a diagram. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
So I did it in that very anti-Xerox blue. So
Yes,
hopefully
yeah,
at
that's
least
great.
we get a little bit of a vibe.
It is. It's great.
And can you see my cursor okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So you are making your way down from the north. So north would be up on your screen. And David, the human fighter, making your way down, before you even descend into the chamber, you can already feel the crunching of the carpet of centipede husks underneath your boots that reverberate into the darkness. So you enter a chamber.
Why does
These
it always
squares
have to be centipedes?
these squares are about 5 feet. So kind of keep that in mind. About 1 to 2 of you can occupy that space. Shadow Dark is not a very precision type game. Distances are very abstract, very theater of the mind. So don't get too concerned about sort of where you're at on the grid. This is mostly just for visualization purposes. So you make your way down, and this is what you see, David. The walls are covered in murals painted in faded cold colors, and they peel from the sandstone walls of the chamber. And squinting through the darkness, holding your torch up as high as you can to get as much light as you can see that these murals depicted a grand city of minarets and step pyramids rendered in gleaming turquoise. And there are robed figures depicted in these peeling ancient murals. And they are kneeling towards what at first you think is the sun, but peering closer, it is in fact a watery sphere where the sun would be rendered. There are the shredded remains of tapestries that crunch among the chips of peeled paint underneath your boots and your sandals. But what they depicted, you can't quite tell without getting closer and rummaging through them. And behind these tapestries, which have been obviously torn down long ago, you can see the walls, the bare sandstone walls, have been chiseled, suggesting that tomb robbers once poked through here for hidden doors. There is a sandstone door, would be to your left coming down the stairs, so to the east. Small, set into an unassuming archway. But then there is a much larger archway. And in the darkness beyond the edge of your torchlight, you can hear the airiness of a vast chamber. Does that make sense? And we're going to go in that order. So, David, on your turn, you can move and you can take an action. If you want to do something quick, like drink a potion or talk, that's free. But basically, you get to move and then you get to act. So, what would you like to do? You're first down the steps.
I guess I'll cautiously step down into the room and ready my longsword for anything and start staring at the walls, saying like, "Hey guys, come check this out." Those of you with more intelligence.
You unsheathe the blade and it rings in the otherwise silent catacombs. Next up, Vera the thief.
Yeah, I go in and after David, and I am looking to see if a hidden door was found, or maybe there was one that was missed. So either way, I'm also searching the walls for something hidden, having seen the chisel marks. I go like, that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna take a look.
Perfect. And I'm glad that you've done that, because that allows me to introduce one of the mechanics of Shadow Dark and its adventure, is that there really aren't perception checks as such. So again, it sort of appeals to, the old school approach where you kind of tell me what you want to do, what you're inspecting, how you're inspecting it, and I will let you know if there's something to find, you will find it. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that searching will take up a whole crawling round. And so I will mark off one of those boxes Do you want to spend a crawling round to do the search of the walls and make that trade-off, or would you like to just maybe do something else? Is it clear what I'm describing, what the trade-off is?
Yeah, so using a whole crawling round gets us closer to a random encounter.
That's right, and you can see in my little, it's blotting out, but I have little boxes, and I'm just going to check one off each time you do a round. So, yeah, it'll get you closer to a random encounter check. That's exactly right.
Okay. I think I'm going to do it. Unless
All
anyone
right.
has any major objections. It seems right. All right, I'm going to do it.
All right, so I'm going to mark off one of these boxes here. You have 2 crawling rounds left for the first check. And you, unfortunately, find no secret doors, no hidden compartments, no loose stones. However, though, you get the suggestion that maybe this doorway off to your left was at one time covered by a mural.
Okay. So that was
So this
maybe
looks
the
like it
door
was
we
a secret
found.
door.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And with that, there's something else that you find. Something a little less pleasant.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
So as you are crunching through the
looked
vermin
too hard.
husks and the rubble, you see that there is an ancient corpse of a warrior encased in sort of strange, unfamiliar, ancient armor. And moving past it, there is a new odor that mingles with the odor of the sardines in your pack.
Sorry, what order?
The odor. There's a new odor that
Yeah, I don't
mingles.
know what.
What's this new odor? That implies there's an existing odor.
Yeah, I don't know.
There we
The
go. It took me
only
a second to
odor
get
I
that. It was a long walk for me to get to that one. The corpse of this ancient guardian of the catacombs rises. You can hear the crunching of husks from its back.
No.
As does another of these undead that rises at the opposite corner. As 2 blighted guardians rise to defend their ancient home. I need all of you to roll initiative, D20 plus your dexterity modifier as the battle begins.
Can I get advantage because I was already ready?
You can. Go ahead and roll
That's a great
2d20
question.
and...
Ooh, nat 20 first try. I didn't even need it.
Oh, you're cooking. I'm going to give you something for that here, so...
Got an 8.
And can I have someone volunteer to keep track of initiative for me in the battle?
Sure, yeah, it looks like Miriam's got it. Do you want to go clockwise, or should we just go by stat number?
So we're going to go by number in this one.
Okay, so Miriam's at top. I got a 14.
I got a 12.
All right.
Last at 8.
Okay.
And we don't need to add the guardians into initiative, I don't think.
Well, yeah, no, they just don't go at all.
Yeah.
When do the
That is the opposite of the truth.
Oh, darn it.
Let's see here. They're going to be going at a 12.
Okay, so they're tied with Matt.
So does Matt go first or?
Yeah, Matt will go
Okay.
first.
All right, so it looks like Miriam is first.
All right, so because you were the first to react and because you had declared, I am ready, I got a natural 20, I'm going to give you advantage on all your attacks or your checks this round. So you are ready to act. So you have basically, imagine you're all sort of clustered in the middle. The thief is nearer to that door that was determined to be a revealed secret door. And then you have one guardian to the north and one to the south, kind of in the top corner, the bottom corner. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's
I guess
do
I'll
it.
just attack the one closest to me. Do I get anything, like any extra attacks for being a 3rd level fighter?
You do not. So you'll get
Okay.
one attack, but you'll roll this with advantage because of your nat 20 on initiative.
Okay. I'll just
So
take a
you'll
swing
move
then.
up. And then what's your attack bonus? It should be on the sheet there. With the longsword. She's like plus.
Oh, plus
something
8.
there.
Plus 8.
Plus 8. Holy cow. Yeah, you're cooking. So your sword glimmers in the darkness. Go ahead and get 2d20 and add that 8 and let me know what you get.
15 plus 8 is 23.
Oh my gosh.
And then 1d8 damage. 4.
Amazing. So you cleave into the belly of this blighted guardian. Now, you knew that there wasn't going to be blood when you cleaved into it because it is a ghoul. What you did not expect to come out of it, and at first it looked almost just like a pale ghostly light and like little motes of magic, but squinting your eyes through the darkness, scurrying out of the wound that you left in this blighted guardian is a swarm of a venomous ethereal spiders.
Oh, great. Awesome.
That had formed a nest in the hollow cavity inside.
Oh, good.
God damn it.
That's what I want to hear when I DM. That's like my favorite thing.
Yes.
I want to hear, oh, this was so fun. I want to hear, God damn it, dude. All right, so next up, who's next initiative?
That'd be Leanne Thorne. I'll be like, oh, merely help us. And I'll step forward and hold my fingers forward towards this gaping wound in this ghoul's chest, and I will throw burning hands to hope to burn those evil insects into little crispy critters.
Amazing. So go ahead and roll your spellcasting check.
All right, here goes nothing. 13 plus 6 is my spellcasting. That's a 19. My DC was an 11, so that's a success.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'll warn you about, Wizard, is that in Shadow Dark, if you roll a natural 1 on your spellcasting check, it is a mishap. So be careful. But yeah, the flames shoot out, and it's almost as if the sun has risen down in this catacomb, and you get this very clear view of what were once these very majestic murals of Shintufi as it was.
Don't burn them.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
All right, here's a D6 of damage. A 3.
All right. The blighted guardian hisses in agony, and you can see almost like little falling fireworks are the tiny little ethereal spider hatchlings falling to the ground, but it is still standing. It is very tough. All right. Who's next?
I had a 12. I think I'm right.
Yes.
before
So
Yeah,
Matt,
Matt.
yes, you're next.
Yeah,
So
and you're last
So how-
to go before the whites.
Tefrail. Yes.
On a 12, that's last. Oh, nice. We're fast party. How do
I'm
spells
last. You're last
Yeah.
before the ghoul goes.
Before the ghouls.
Got it.
Yeah.
Understood.
So make your move
English, got
count.
it. How
no pressure.
do spells work? Are they one and gone, or is it DC based? So I can cast them over and over, or how does?
Yep.
Nice.
So my
If you
my
fail
If you fail the check though, you lose the spell until you rest.
that's right. So
Ooh.
it's kind of neat because it kind of takes old school Vancian magic and 5e and kind of blends it in a sense. So as
Yes,
long
that's
as you
very nice.
as long as you successfully cast the spell, you can cast it again. If you miss it, if you blow that roll, then you lose the ability to cast the spell until the following day. If you roll a mishap as an arcane caster, all sorts of bad juju can happen. Like it can blow up in your face, you can hit your buddies, bad stuff. As a someone who's getting their power from their deity, you have angered your deity, and you now have to make some form of reparation in the form of gold or some sort of quest that you must earn the right to get that back. And if you half step, if you do a poor job, you may permanently lose that spell. Your deity may just be like, sorry, Charlie, that wasn't good enough. You are not as dedicated as you need to be. You don't need that spell anymore. So there's some fun. There's a lot of fun when you're running this game. But it's at the same time, but it's pretty straightforward. It's rare that you're gonna, pretty rare. I mean, 5% of the time, when you're throwing that you're gonna get a 1. And I would probably use that luck token in that case to keep that spell going.
Yeah,
So,
no joke.
yeah.
And this check is going to be one of those 5% times.
All right, come on, buddy.
Part
So
one.
what are you
wonder then,
casting?
Too, I see.
And when you cast a spell, also you can crit. Since you're rolling a check, if you roll a 20, you can crit and double a numerical effect of the spell.
Sweet. I like that better. I walk into the room first, and as everything's kind of exploding around. Oh, look at these murals. By Wave Bringer's mercy! Look at these undead fiends. What are those spiders coming out of its stomach? All right, I'm going to... I think I'll not... I'm going to... I have written on here mace, but my holy weapon is actually a trident. So is holy weapon, does that bring a new weapon into existence, or is it blessing my existing weapon?
It blesses your existing weapon. We can say that you are wielding a trident instead of a mace. That's not a big deal. We'll just say it's the same damage and same specs.
I'm also
so you get a cast
torch,
holy weapon?
though. Yes, I'm going to cast holy weapon. And I'm assuming that's my turn, correct? So I wouldn't get to attack until next turn.
That's correct.
All right. So I rolled a 10. My casting is 5, and the DC is 11. So I do cast holy weapon. As this trident glows.
Yes.
And the scent of salt water fills the room.
Very fishy.
And that's, I think that's my.
Seems fishier than usual.
Your sea god smells.
It's seaweed.
And in reaction to that happening, so your turn ends, you cast the holy weapon, and there is just this radiant, I'm assuming almost like a bluish light that arcs out, and the undead, these two blighted guardians, recoil for just a second, but then turn their attention on you specifically. And the first thing that happens is that the one that the fighter and the wizard have wounded retches back, and its jaw just crumbles apart like the foundation of an ancient temple, and it breathes a line of ethereal spiders at our priest friend. So I need you to do
sucks.
for me.
Yeah, that is not good.
It's
Father
it's
of
not
the sea,
great.
protect me.
So what I need you to do is grab your D20. What is your Dex modifier?
0.
Awesome. So you will need a 15 or better flat on the D20 to avoid its ethereal spider swarm breath. So go ahead and give us a roll here.
I missed it by 11. I rolled a 4.
So close.
So
come on, that's
would
close. You gotta give
like...
it to him.
So this is one of the many challenging decisions that Shadowdark presents players with. Would you like to spend your one and only luck token to re-roll that check? Or do you accept the consequences of the spider swarm?
How many
The choice is
D6s
yours,
does it
yours
look like
alone.
this? How many D6s worth of spiders are coming at me?
So it will do strength damage, and there'll be some additional condition.
I don't have a very good chance of making a 15, so I think, oh, man, that's a tough choice. I think with no bonus on my dex, I'm better off just sucking it up and taking it at this point. I may.
All right. So
I may
unfortunately,
not live to regret that, but we'll see.
the priest is overrun by these little ethereal spider hatchlings, and they bite, and you don't feel a sting, you feel this deep cold. So the first thing that's going to happen, what is your strength score?
It's a 10. It was a 10.
All right, so your strength is reduced by 6.
Oh,
I love it. You now have a 4 strength.
Wow.
And take
And
your
now I know
modifier
how the
and knock it
priest
down by
feels.
3.
Does he now? He's able to hold 6 less items.
Oh my
in his
gosh.
gear,
Yeah,
or
he's
how
going to be
does that
dropping
work?
items.
It's like Minecraft. All this stuff just falls off me and bounces.
Yeah, so you feel this withering coldness. So your modifier now for strength is -3 if you're at a 10. Go ahead and just knock off 6 items from your. You can't go lower than 10 though, so you can't go lower than 10 slots.
really?
So I think you're probably
Okay. I have
otherwise
9.
it'll get pretty early.
I'm carrying 9 right now.
Perfect. And in addition, what I need for you to do for me is write this on your sheet, or type it if you're using a digital sheet. You have this condition that's going to linger for the remainder of the adventure. You are now susceptible to the dominating gaze of the mother ethereal spider. So you can feel this like tug and this distant feminine but also sort of vermin-like voice. So that will linger with you. The other blighted wight shambles into the torchlight, and I'm going to roll randomly to see who this wight breathes spiders on.
I'm
You're so
roll
glad
this
you
die
hired
just
me,
to
aren't
see
you?
if I made it.
So, I'm going to
Oh
do.
my god! I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1 on my next roll, so I'm glad
We
I
changed
didn't
our- we
take. I'm
changed our
glad I
minds.
took the strength damage.
I changed my mind. I want to go back. On a 1 and 2, it's going to be the thief. On a 3 and 4, it's going to be the wizard. On a 5 and 6, it will be the fighter. 2, it will be the thief.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's this ghoul just disgorges from its mouth this swarm of ethereal spider hatchlings. I need you to make a DC 15 dexterity check.
Okay,
So that's
I
a
get
D20.
+2 to this. Oh, that's only a total of 9.
Do you want to spend your luck token after seeing what happened?
Yes. That feels like I should. Okay, come on.
Luck token spent.
What is that? That's a 14 on the die with my +2. That's
Yeah,
16.
there you go. So describe for me how you were able to avoid this breath weapon. How did you specifically manage to pull this out clutch as a thief?
I think she is just like, I hate spiders, and says hate is like elongated, and you see the like this like hazy smell,
like a green fog
and
envelops
I
the
think
spiders.
the spiders just kind of sink to the floor before they quite get to her.
And they
as
go up on
meet
their
each
back with
other.
their little
Yeah,
legs twitching.
absolutely. As they meet midair, they're like, absolutely not.
That's incredible. So you tumble out of the way. You know, you're getting those iframes, panic rolling out of the way of the breath weapon, and you're kicking up this dust and sand behind you. But you notice that some of the sand is not settling. And in fact, it is hovering and forming itself into the vague outline of a woman. And then it begins to materialize. And this is what you see materialize. And she looks at you with this flowing motion, looks at the thief, and then bares 2 long vampire's fangs and bites you. What's your armor class?
It's 13, and I do think Vera goes, rude but hot.
Rude but hot. The Vera, the little what do you call it? Memoir.
Yeah.
All right. We're looking at 11 versus your armor class.
I have a 13.
So she misses with the first bite, and then she grabs you by the collar, enraged, and tries to bite you again. This is a vampire spawn that has been blighted by the desert and has a sand form.
I'm screaming for her, just so you know. I'm not even involved, and I'm screaming. All right, this. Yeah.
You're like,
no,
it's
very,
wrong.
I
All right.
thought the
This is
spiders
very
were gonna
disturbing.
be the worst thing. I don't like rubbing
12.
your hands together. That doesn't do it. I'm 13.
Yeah. So it's just imagine it's like xenomorph biting like Ripley, just like.
Yeah.
Listen,
But she is
making
not
her
able
have
to bite
bad
you.
breath is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's really saving me.
Worst Valentine's Day ever. All right,
It must have
that
been
is the end of my
garlic
turn.
sardines that you had last time.
Yeah.
So I think Thief, it's your turn to react. What do you do? We've got a wounded wight, we've got an unwounded wight, and then you have this desert vampire spawn essentially pounced on top of you, trying to bite your neck.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna stab her with my dagger, or do my best to. So that is an 18 plus 1 is 19.
Yeah, so you just plunge the dagger right into her neck. Go ahead and
Absolutely.
roll damage.
3.
All
It's
right,
not
so
bad. I
you
only have a D4.
you plunge it through the neck, and you see the tip of the dagger stick out the other end of the neck, and she is completely insensible. You deal damage, but it's as if she didn't feel it. She continues to bite with
Yeah,
these long
and I'm like,
fangs
hey,
around.
Hey, stop! Stop it.
Yeah, you're like holding it back,
Hey,
almost like
hey.
a dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, would you like to move? There are no opportunity attacks in Shadow Dark, so if you want to tumble away and move to a different position in the chamber,
yeah.
you are welcome to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do that for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna head probably to that north corner. Would be to our left, the same side of the door. I'm just gonna head north, away.
Perfect. And you see behind you again just these very what were once majestic murals of the city of Shintufi as it was, and these hooded figures, who knows who they were, revering this watery sun above the step pyramids and the minarets. And then as the end of the battle round, so top of the order, who was first to go? I think it was the fighter, right?
It was me. Yes, David.
All right. With blade in hand, what do you do? The melee has popped off, as the kids say.
Do you guys think slashing is gonna be helpful anymore? Or am I just opening more spider holes?
I mean, if you kill it, no more spiders could come out, hopefully.
Or all the spiders could come out. I mean,
yeah.
What if I like
Kill it! Ah!
What if I like jump on one of the ghouls and just like stomp on it a bunch of times and try and squish it?
little Mario style,
like
little
it's
Goomba
one
style.
giant spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So go ahead and roll. Let's go ahead and just use your attack bonus for the longsword.
Okay, 16.
Yeah. So you leap up and you just bring your weight down to try to bludgeon this creature to its bones. Go ahead and roll your longsword damage. I'm not gonna penalize if you're doing something cool, which is part of the spirit of Shadow Dark. Do something cool. 8. Holy cow! So describe for me your finishing move as if you were jumping off the top rope.
Oh, there you go.
Like, how are you demolishing this thing?
So I'm going to jump up, do a front flip, and just bring my legs down directly on top of this thing's head, and it just flattens like nothing. Like, I guess
That is
flatten the
amazing.
can.
Like a watermelon dropped from a 10-story building.
Accordion.
Yeah.
And you see there is this like tar-like gore that sprays out, and then just the swarm of all the ethereal spider hatchlings as they flee into the corners and then phase into the ethereal realm. You have slain one of the whites. Now, normally in Shadow Dark, monsters at this situation would have to make a morale check, as monsters will see their friends being demolished in a very brutal way and run away. But unfortunately, undead are not affected by morale. Very, very good play, though. Would you like to move at all, fighter?
I will move as far away from that other guy with the breath weapon as I can.
An excellent move.
Where is your
Who's
friend?
Next?
Who's next?
I'm up
Luke.
next. Yeah. So yes,
wizard.
Leanthorn. I'm just trying to see how far my burning hand spell is, because if
You
I
don't
can,
want to get too close? That's weird.
it's close, so I have to be close for that one. All right,
Yeah.
but magic missile I think is far. So I will go. Merely protect me, and I will lift up my robes and run behind David, who's gotten out of the way, and I will throw a magic missile at the other ghoul that's there.
Just the
Like, as
skinniest
you wheel
ankles
around
you've
and-
ever seen.
Yes, but I'm trying to hide behind David. I'm trying to hide behind David while I do it, because I am not a physical specimen, and I need to protect myself with other party members as much as possible. So I have advantage on this roll. So I got a 22 to hit. So I think that will
Amazing.
hit. Yeah, and I do a
What-
whopping. It's a magic missile.
What does your magic missile look like?
My magic missile actually comes out as a blue, sort of a blue and silver almost like a unicorn's horn, but blue and silver, and it spirals through the air and then hits the creature for 2 points of damage.
Yeah. So there is a wash of these magical sparks. It stumbles back for a moment. You see a few of the ethereal spider hatchlings scurry away into the adjacent plane, and then it redoubles its march towards you, stomping through the remnants of the Yggdrasil tapestries and mural paint.
And I make sure to kind of like cower behind David, even trying to make myself a smaller target.
Great.
All right, who's next?
I believe that is me.
That.
I can barely lift my weapon anymore, but it's holy. So the one that's advancing on, it's heading towards David, or it's trying to get to the wizard.
That is correct. Yep.
Is that accurate? Okay, I will try and intercept it with Azim's holy weapon, with my trident. Come on! Oh, nat 20. I rolled the Eye of Shintufu.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. So you rush up and you bring the trident down.
Dice.
Yes, yes.
Don't even roll damage. Just describe for me what incredible miracle happens when you crush the trident down into this white.
All right, as described earlier, the trident itself is this kind of emblazoned with Azim's power, and a bluish glow is emanating from it already. And as I bring the trident into its chest, this pillar of salt water just washes over and corrodes, and I guess dissolves the creature in divine seawater fury.
And I'm so glad that you specifically mentioned it was salt water that was coming down, because, and I am not making this up, it is in the written module, I promise it's there. So you obliterate the white, it just dissolves into slurry. The vampire spawn gets up from her position and looks over and sees the salt water pour down. She is repelled by salt. She bursts into her sand form, disappears into the darkness, and the battle ends there.
Oh, that's why she couldn't bite me.
That's right. Yeah. It's good to be salty.
And,
That's awesome.
yeah. And give yourself a luck token if you don't already have one.
I do already have one. Damn it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's
So
all right.
you're stacked up.
Yep.
Would you like to gift a luck token to somebody?
Yes,
anyone
I
use
would.
theirs?
Vera,
Toss it to our
Vera did-
fishy friend.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. I knew that would work.
Just as you'd planned.
As I can, again, barely hold the thing up anymore.
So with the narrow escape, you have defeated the two undead guardians. You have driven away the vampire spawn. Who knows if she'll return to ambush you later, or if you'll encounter the
indeed.
vampire who created her.
Oh. I didn't think about that.
Well, perhaps if this was a once secret door, perhaps we should go through here. This door to our east.
So we're gonna bounce
Leanthorn,
back
have you
into crawling
seen
rounds.
these murals? They're priceless.
Priceless.
We're gonna bounce back into crawling
priceless
rounds.
knowledge. Sorry, what?
So we're gonna bounce back into crawling rounds. So again,
Okay.
in Shadow Dark, we're sort of always in initiative. I'm gonna start with you, Priest. What would you like to do? And then I'll just kind of go down the line on my screen here.
Well, that was quite exhausting, actually. Not the least of which that I lost 6 points of flippin' strength.
Was rough.
I am quite enamored by the age and condition of the tapestry, so I do take a long look at that, but realizing that we probably need to be on our way, I suggest going down the once hidden passageway first. Seeing as though it was hidden, it probably holds the most treasure, right, thief?
I would assume that it's already been rifled through, but I'm sure that we could find something that the others have missed.
That's the spirit. More tapestries. But I'm not going to go first.
Yes. I
right,
believe
so,
that David
Wizard.
should lead the way, as he is
Yeah,
shown
as far
his,
as
capable he
Yep.
is.
Somehow I managed to come out of that one unscathed. So
It was quite impressive.
yeah, I guess I'll have my longsword ready and
All
go
right,
in
so-
first.
Yeah, so I will defer to David going through first. I'm happy to go second since I still, I believe, have a torch. But yes, I'm not going first.
Amazing. So in Shadow Dark, there is a move you can all take as a group, like basically called regroup or consolidate, where you can say, hey, let's just move as a team. It takes up a crawling round. And with that, that is the end of this cycle. And I'm going to roll
Ooh, what's a
the
cycle?
adventurer's first random encounter check.
All right.
You know what?
I
I'm
feel
not
like we
going to
had
roll.
3
I'm going
random
to have
encounters right there.
I'm going to have the fighter roll.
Uh-oh.
So if you could grab a
Oh.
d6 for me, roll it, and tell me what you get.
1.
That's
We'll be right
That's the
back.
best number.
So you're making your way up, and you are pushing this sandstone door, and it is making this awful grinding. It reverberates through the catacombs. I'm going to have the wizard roll me a d4 and tell me what you get.
I told
Stop
you we
making
shouldn't
so
have
much
gone
noise.
this way.
A 3.
All right. There is a strange sensation that fills each of you. And turning back into the chamber with the murals, you can hear as if there is just millions and millions of gallons of water churning behind the walls.
I know that sound.
And just as you are holding your breath and bracing, you see a ghostly manifestation of an aboleth, a massive
Run.
aquatic creature with this
Run.
tendrils
Run.
sliding
Fools.
out.
Run.
And here's the first thing that happens. This manifestation is so terrifying that I need all of you to roll a DC 15 wisdom check.
I would think so.
Oh, great.
And if you fail, you lose
18.
your luck tokens.
17.
18.
That's see? Shadow
Oh
Dark,
my
baby.
God. My dice never rolled this good. I have not
I
rolled
can
under
attest to that.
10 yet. Yes, I got a 17 plus 1 and 18.
I get another. I have Shintufi. Another 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Two in a row.
And
2 in a row.
Thief
Yeah, I got a 16 plus 1 is 17.
Wow. Good rolling.
throwing rocks tonight. So, despite the terrifying appearance of this aboleth, you are not overcome with fear and you do not lose your luck tokens.
Ah.
The second thing that happens is that frigid ocean water bursts from the walls and creates this big whirlpool. Now it drains away, mostly harmlessly. I'll ask an
Mostly.
important question here. So remind me, Thief, were you turned into a vampire? You were able to resist that, is that correct? You were not bitten and
Yes,
turned into a vampire
I
spawn?
was not bitten.
So you would not have been dissolved by this wall.
Uh,
So
'Cause it's
those
salt water.
sardines have saved your life. Yeah. it's like the inanimate Rod the Simpsons. Thank the sardines. Thank the tin. And with that, the manifestation speaks in this guttural ancient language. What languages do all your characters speak?
plain old common.
Yeah.
Damn.
I think as a bookbinder and as a wizard, I might at least read a little bit of Idrisid, but as far as spoken goes, it's probably not a language that's ever been heard. So it would be difficult if it was Idrisid.
I'm pretty sure I only speak common. I may have to have translators. I haven't done that part of my studies.
Yep. Well, I speak Elvish and Common for sure, and I can read Idrisid, but I don't think I can speak it.
And took lunch for a while. We found cicada skin, and I tried to get him to eat it, but he didn't. Another guru, and got Londo at
Am I finally having a stroke?
Yeah, I also heard it.
Yes, I heard that too. Very strange.
God,
while none
that
of
was
you can
my-
speak,
Got it. Whew.
while none of you can speak this strange ancient language, wizard, because of your background, because of your intelligence, I'm going to give you a vibe. It's as if it's speaking telepathically. That was a tough one. And you're getting just sort of a sense.
Okay.
This aboleth is thanking you.
Okay.
Thanking
Interesting.
us.
It is thanking you, and you get the sense that you have let it in by entering this place. It has
Great.
followed behind you.
That
And
kind
with
of thinking.
that, the door pushes open, the manifestation disappears. And I will reveal to you the map for this chamber here. All right, can you all see that okay?
Yes.
So this door grinds open. Imagine a very Dark Souls, like you're pushing the doors open very slowly, making your way in, getting all those iframes as the monsters hit you. The door opens, and the light of the torches chases away the sandy darkness to reveal a modestly sized chamber, about 20 feet to a side. Your eyes sparkle as coiled, imagine those middle 4 squares, coiled in the center of this chamber is a monstrous idol, chiseled entirely from glimmering lapis lazuli. And it depicts a fearsome dragon with shark-like gills, webbed claws, a scorpion's tail poised to strike, and one eye violently torn out. And Wizard, you know who this is. Tell us about the dragon, Senebra. I sure should have asked about that one first. Senebra.
Sinraba.
Yes. Senraba. So this is probably one of the Aedros of that, where it's sort of the source of ancient magic. Some people think a race of, or an ancestry of creatures that we would call dragons, but really the granddaddy of dragons. The what dragons descended from. And highly potent magical creatures, very, very powerful, and pretty much unknown in the world today. Something from the past, like finding a dinosaur or something like that.
Amazing. And here you stand in a chamber that is dominated by a pure lapis lazuli idol of this strange dragon, again with shark-like gills, webbed claws, scorpion's tail, and one eye violently torn out. So I'm going to start with the fighter again. What would you like to do?
I want to go and look at that ripped out eye.
All right, so you make your way in, and as you do so, there is this buzzing at the back of your neck. And then the wizard feels it. And then the thief feels it. And then the priest, still feeling the muscle tension of that 6 points of strength being lost. And there is a voice that beckons, but
Is
not
this how
a
you
voice
feel all the
like...
time?
Pretty much.
It's not a voice like the aboleth, but it seems like a distant, almost desperate voice channeled from a place and a time very, very far away. And this is what the voice beckons. It's almost like a feminine voice crying out. It beckons, and she asks, "The mightiest among you, the mightiest one among you, prick your palm on the stinger and endure the wrathful blessing of the great worms." So who one among you, if any, will step forward to prick their palm on this fearsome stinger that drips with salt water into a basin and accept and endure the wrathful blessing of the great worms?
Is this feminine voice also perhaps spidery?
It is not, but very good question.
Okay.
Those are the kinds of questions that keep you alive.
Did
at
she
Shadowdark.
mean mentally strong?
Yes, I think.
Or physically strong? That's what my question is. If she meant
Yeah.
mentally strong, then I will stride forward because I am clearly the most qualified. If
I'm
they meant
actually
physical-
strong, so
Vera does say,
I'm down for a wrathful blessing.
as a jeweler, says, well, let's think about this because it's made of lapis lazuli, often associated with royalty, strength, courage, wisdom, and intellect, friendship, and truth.
all of my qualities. So that's probably. Yeah, so Leantor
time
using
ticks away,
his,
the fire burns.
Using his dexterity will leap forward. I have a 6 dexterity. So that being a joke. I will carefully walk forward if David wants to beat me there, he can easily because I'm far slower.
Yeah,
Can I
I'm
look
gonna.
around the room and see if there's evidence of other people who may have, like, are there bodies in this room? People who maybe have failed this?
Oh, that's a good question.
A great question. So, there are no bodies, but you do recognize as a thief that if you took the time to strip all the lapis lazuli off of the idol and get it back to Shantufi, it is worth a substantial sum of money.
I suspected that's why the eye got ripped out.
Cha-ching, baby.
But the historic value is priceless.
The sentimental value is through the roof.
Absolutely.
But yeah, time turns, the fire burns. If this
All right,
were a normal
all right,
Shadowdark game, I'd be warning you.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
moving
Okay,
forward.
I'm gonna let this mentally strong guy.
All right, they're gonna let me sacrifice myself. All right, I will go ahead and touch the.
You have chosen poorly.
I will attempt to. I don't know that I can actually draw blood, but I'm gonna try.
You draw too
I don't
hard.
think I can do it quite hard enough, but.
I feel like Mr. Burns getting the shot.
Yeah.
I saw some blood here the other day.
I only have a
All right,
4
so-
strength. It's a -3.
So the strange voice channeled from a time and a place long buried beckons the mightiest among you to step up, and the wizard steps forward. And with a shaking hand, you present your palm and you prick it against the dagger-sized stinger of this glittering lapis lazuli idol of this ancient great worm, and you feel this warm saltwater sensation move through your veins. And I'm going to ask you one question before we end this preview of Wrath of the Sea Lich. And this question to you: what is your Constitution score?
Dang it! It's a 9.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you for playing this preview of Wrath of the Sea Lich.
Spoiler alert.
That was hilarious.
I guess they weren't talking about mental fortitude.
So imagine you just prick yourself and then the screen goes black.
Yes.
And that is the
all
end
right.
of our preview.
And we'll have to see what happens.
Incredible.
You can continue this adventure by backing Wrath of the Sea Lich.
Amazing. Well, I hope the four of you had fun. And any closing commentary from anybody or any kind of stuff you want to do to bookend this video for folks, let them know kind of what else is coming next, what to expect, anything else you want to say.
I will say
while I
there's
take a
there's a difference between knowing that Shadowdark is deadly and experiencing how deadly Shadowdark is. It's really thrilling. I'm excited to play more and explore more of the Shadowdark.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. My stats are horrible besides my intelligence as Liam Thorne, this elven wizard. But he was a blast to play, and a lot of personality, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. It gave me lots of role-playing cues, and although this isn't, this is fast-paced and features action, there's plenty of ways to insert, your personality and how you envision the character into your actions, right? And I think that's fun in a role-playing game.
Yes.
No matter what. I mean, every role-playing game I've played has been full of silly jokes or stuff that becomes inside jokes, as well as the dice rolls and adventure and all that sort of stuff. It's about being silly. It's about being with your friends, and this keeps it going. We were almost, by the way, at the end of our torch already, if you can believe that. So that's how fast that time goes. We were 4 minutes and 30 seconds away from the end of our torch.
Kelsey's
which is
going,
crazy.
you burn 2 torches at a time? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, because I was afraid.
Oh, 100%.
Because I am an evil DM. I would have a creature knock the torchlight out of your hand if it could, right? Or if it knocks you down. If they concentrate on the one source of light and they take you down, then there's all sorts of advantages on their side. So it would really make sense for them to focus on that torchlight and take you down. So you've got to have some strategy there. But yeah, this is a very different adventure in Shadowdark. It's really it's based on what Matt and I did initially, but there are just the rule set and the focus of Shadowdark necessitated significant changes. And to me, it feels like a fresh adventure, a fresh, it's really a fresh story. And so I think even if you've played this one, it will play very differently, because I've run the 5e version, I don't know, 20 times, something 20, 25 times.
Right. Yeah.
I've run it a bunch, and it's great and it's fun, but it is very different. It's a very different feel. And what appealed to me about Shadowdark is it really honed in on the roots of how I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it highlights a lot of the fun aspects of that, and it gets back to holy crap. It's scary, right? It's scary and deadly. And
I just lost 6 strength on the first swing of the battle. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was insane.
And we're fighting 2 giant guardian fights, and then a vampire spawn pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, someone should have died. We all should be dead right now.
But for the glory of the Wavebringer.
Yeah.
And sardines.
And sardines.
and sardines, yeah.
That
also from the sea.
That's going down as my favorite quirk of a character I've ever had.
Sardine breath from the Little Charisma was pretty good. So yeah, I kind of felt like my elf was sort of C-3PO as a wizard. That's kind of how that's kind of how I envisioned him. Like, oh goodness, I'm good at throwing spells and I'm smart, but that's it. Nothing too physical. And so yeah, I don't know. This was great, and we literally scratched the surface of this adventure, and there's so much. There's so much to do, and I really like how Cirsa looked at this and interpreted it and suggested the way forward for the adventure, and you really did a nice job on that, and I think it's
awesome.
Thank you.
It's fantastic. So yeah, with a lot of this, sure, you had the structure there, right? But you had to re-envision this and put it in a different environment. And of course, collaboratively we built it. But man, yeah, this feels good, and it's really different. It's a different adventure. I don't know what how you think about it, but it felt unique. It felt like a different adventure to me.
Oh yeah, 100%. I would just hammer that point home for people that are considering looking at this Kickstarter. Like Luke said, if you've played the 5e version, this will be a same setting essentially, but I think much more adequately captures what Luke had envisioned for Ocarim the first time around, and definitely has a more grittier feel to it.
Yeah, and that's true, because I wrote my first adventure in the world of Ocarim in 2013, which was prior to 5e coming out. So I wrote it for AD&D, really, is the first edition. And so it was grittier and different. And then, of course, this game, 5th edition, came out and took the world by storm, which is a fantastic game, right? It really captured tens of millions of people and showed them what role-playing was, right? But all systems have strengths and weaknesses, and in 5th edition, for me, it lacks a bit of tension when you get into anything past probably 7th level. It's very hard gets harder and harder progressively from probably 5th on to challenge your players. In Shadowdark, as in AD&D, there's scary moments that are introduced at all sorts of different points. You have to stay on your toes, and to me, that makes an adventure fun. You know, I don't want to play a superhero game where there's very minimal or no risk. For me, I need to know that I have to not only play smart, husband my resources, but also get some good die rolls in order to succeed, right? There's a bit of chance in there. Nothing is guaranteed, and you may just have to run and hope that you survive to come back and fight another day. That's old
like
school.
When an Aboleth shows up for 3rd level characters, yeah,
Run,
you definitely
run. That's it. I was just all I said. Run. I want to run as soon as I can.
Right.
I just want to run. That's it. This is bad. This is all bad. There's no reason to stick around. So yeah, very, 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 very pleased with how this turned out, and I hope that our play here today gave you just enough to give you an idea of what to look forward to when you crack the cover of the Wrath of the Sea Lich and get to play it with your group.
Amazing.
Here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear, and I want to dial in on something that you said, Luke, which is that we have very much only scratched the surface. There is so much, because for those who might not know, I don't think we mentioned it, but like we're taking 3 standalone modules basically and working them into a single adventure. So there is just going to be so much content, so much value that I think people will get. I mean, we've legitimately just only a teeny tiny little fraction of the totality of the adventure we've shown tonight. And if you've liked what you've seen, it just gets crazier from there. So
yeah, I would suggest that there's at a minimum 40 hours of play.
100%. Yeah.
And it could be long, but if you're very focused and you're like just nailing it, you know, maybe it's 40 hours, but I think you could probably do 50 or 60 hours in there to clear it out and do it. So that's a lot of torches in this game. So you're gonna have to make sure that you stock up on torches, because you're gonna need them to finish the Wrath of the Sea Lich. And it's a great sweeping story arc. So yeah, just very, very pleased and excited to see how it's received. So I'm looking forward to, you know, getting the Kickstarter going, but more so getting this into people's hands and hearing feedback on how it goes, because that's really the test, is hearing people say, I ran it for my group and we did this, right? And that's what you do at conventions, right? You go, you rap with people and they say, oh yeah, this is how my characters did it. Or I run it at a convention and see how each different group approaches these problems. And it's always fun because no 2 groups take it exactly the same way. And even if they do something similar, the die rolls turn out different, so you get kind of like a different result. And I guess that's why we like RPGs, right, guys? That's
right.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All new art,
with that,
all new maps, all new. Well, as you mentioned, it's going to be 3 books condensed into 1 hardback. Well, we hope hardback book, depending on how the Kickstarter goes. Brand new cover, new stats for tons of monsters. All the monsters from the 3 books are converted into Shadowdark. All the magic items we expect to convert to Shadowdark, again, depending on how the Kickstarter itself
and you're
goes.
going to get some of the setting info as well. Is hopefully knock on wood, is some stretch goals. We'll get some of that sort of stuff. So that's really up to you, ladies and gentlemen.
September 23rd, or really is that
24th?
Right?
I think it is
24th, Tuesday, the 24th. 2024, the 24th of September.
That's right.
All right.
Mere days away.
Mm-hmm. One last thing I'll say too, for those who are watching who might be interested in some of the behind-the-scenes design, technical aspects of how we do the conversion, we're still working out the details. I know at least Matt and I will be doing some kind of stream conversation. I'm not going to blow up anybody's spot, but you know, it'll be a good opportunity to learn more about how we approach the conversion process. I'm very much a lover of Shadow Dark. I've been a longtime designer. Kelsey's a friend. And so we really, and I mentioned this a little bit in the Shadow Dark Discord, we didn't want to do, and Luke made this really clear when we first sat down to work on this project almost a year ago. I mean, we've been cooking for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Is that a straight mechanical conversion was not sufficient. Like, we really needed to dial in, and props to Kelsey for having a section in the rulebook saying this is the philosophy of the game, because we use that as our North Star when designing, because we, I don't want to speak for Luke and Matt, but like, we didn't want to just give people the same adventure but with a different stat block. We wanted it to feel like a Shadow Dark adventure. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, the tone.
And so we'll be talking more about that.
Tone is very different, and that's an interesting discussion. I mean, that's probably worth doing on the Patreon. Matt is talking about that, and then of course, for a wider audience, we can do that as well. But there may be some folks in Patreon who, and I'll join that and do that, and then if I can, I'll also maybe do some of the Kickstarter stuff. But I know I've got some folks who want to do interviews on the Kickstarter and that sort of stuff, so it might be good to tie in you guys as well and talk about some of those, since we all collaborate on it, talk about some of those design philosophy things. And it was very important because, as I've said for like the 10th time, it's a different adventure. It really feels very different than 5e does. And it just, I guess it's like, gosh, the rule system, an adventure is an adventure, a story is a story to an extent, but the rule set does hone in on how you approach challenges, right? And how you
atmosphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sure does. And that's evident. It's really evident here. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean,
so
we don't worry about torches at all in 5th edition. No, that's fine. I was just going to throw in one last zinger there.
Yeah.
But torches? Who cares about torches in 5th edition?
Yeah. Exactly right. I wanted to give Aurelia and Miriam kind of the last word here. Anything that either of you wanted to add before we kind of say goodbye to folks?
I think most of it has been said, but you're a great DM. I love the imagery, like especially around the light chasing away the darkness, the jaw crumbling like ancient ruins, all those lovely little details that really set the scene and make the atmosphere feel more gritty and deadly and ancient and creepy. So great stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, I really liked how you incorporated the element of choice and building into the world, and even taking, like, I loved Miriam being like, well, can I just squash it with my feet? And you being like, yeah, why not? And that was a really cool moment.
Yeah, and it's going to be so memorable. I'm never going to forget that. I'm never going to forget your the fish in the tin. It's like, I'm never going to be able to look at a thief the same way, honestly. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah. And honestly, the spitting ethereal spiders at you, like breathing ethereal, that's gonna haunt my dreams or my nightmares.
Worst idea ever. That was the worst thing.
Terrible.
Terrible.
But brilliant. Brilliant, but terrible.
Yeah, well, that's something that Matt and I will talk about is, those spiders were in the original module and the ghouls were there. And I'm like, what if we just blended them together to make something truly horrible?
It's really horrible.
You did it.
And frightening.
You did do it. Congrats.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's great.
Well, thank you for playing.
Yeah, no, this is wonderful. I really, this is a great snapshot into just, like I said, the surface layer of what this adventure holds and the style that it is and what you can expect out of the Wrath of the Sea Lich. I hope that you will back us and that you will play it with your group and it will bring you many, many hours of enjoyment and obviously a little bit of fear as well as a sense of accomplishment when you actually vanquish, when you emerge from the Shadow Dark alive and with treasure, because that's a pretty cool feeling.